Chapter 15-16. Both of them stared at Zhou Tian. Being stared at by two emperor gods, Zhou Tian felt a chill run down his spine. Zhou Tian knew his limits. With his strength, even if he fought alone, he wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from the other party. This was the difference between a man-god and an emperor god. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. We choose to believe in Brother Zhou. Hearing this, Zhou Tian finally heaved a sigh of relief. Until this moment, Zhou Tian thought that Black Wolf was only a Supreme Dao warrior. The reason why he could help Howard break through to the Supreme Dao realm in a few days was because of some secret technique. A Supreme Dao warrior couldn't go against the two families. Not to mention the two families, even a Supreme Dao warrior in the Zhou family had no deterrence. If he had to choose between the two families and Black Wolf, Zhou Tian would choose the two families without hesitation and not Black Wolf. Time froze. Black Wolf's arrogance and disregard caused a stalemate. If it were someone else, would the two patriarchs be so patient? In the end, it was because Longao was too calm that the two patriarchs didn't dare to act rashly. In the main hall, in the end, both of them chose to give up because they didn't have the confidence. If Longao was only a Supreme Dao warrior, there could only be one reason why he dared to be so arrogant and disregard them. Longao had a backer. The two of them weren't sure who the backer of Black Wolf was. Even if it wasn't the 10-direction tripod, they wouldn't dare to provoke an ordinary second-rate force. 1,000 years ago, the 10-direction tripod made an agreement that no matter which super force it was, they couldn't enter Blackwater City without permission. Since that was the case, the two of them could almost be sure that Black Wolf wasn't from the 10-direction tripod. The 10-direction tripod couldn't enter Blackwater City, but that didn't mean that second-rate forces couldn't. But one had to know. Among the second-rate forces in Sky Marshal Continent, the top three had Nirvana Realm warriors. If Black Wolf was from such a force, Blackwater City couldn't go against him. Brother Wong, what should we do next? Black Wolf had disappeared and his identity could not be ascertained. Under such circumstances, no one dared to act recklessly. Was he supposed to just sit there like this? Where would he put his face? Wang Jian thought for a moment and said helplessly, "We can't just sit and wait for death like this. Why don't we join forces and take a risk?" What does that mean? Zhou Tian and Qin Chuan were curious. They did not know what Wang Jian meant by that. We can't confirm Black Wolf's identity right now, but according to Brother Zhou, Black Wolf should have been seriously injured and hid in Blackwater City. If we take care of Black Wolf without anyone knowing, even if he has a backer, I'm afraid no one will know. This was a huge risk. The two of them already knew what Wang Jian meant. Brother Wang, I already understand what you mean, but the matter of Black Wolf assisting Zhou how to break through to the Divine Dao realm has already spread throughout the entire Blackwater City. Once we make a move, it's extremely difficult to conceal this matter. Without waiting for Wang Jian to speak, Qin Chuan continued, "It's better to be safe than sorry. If Black Wolf's identity is really not simple, and if Black Wolf has a backer, we'll be in big trouble." The two of them looked at each other before looking at Zhou Tian. "Brother Zhou, what do you think?" Zhou Tian was not a fool. Of course, he would not interfere in this matter. After all, no matter what the outcome was, the Zhou family would be the one to suffer in the end. Patriarchs, to be honest, our Zhou family is really unwilling to interfere in this matter. Our Zhou family also does not want to get involved in Black Wolf's cultivation method. I hope the two of you can forgive us." The two of them laughed. In the end, Zhou Tian was still afraid. The two of them did not force the Zhou family. No matter what, among the many families in Blackwater City, the Zhou family was at the bottom. The current Zhou family could not even take care of themselves. Not to mention Zhou Tian, anyone would choose to withdraw. The two of them had a look of understanding, staying out of the matter. This way, no matter what the outcome was, the Zhou family would not suffer any losses. Qin Chuan and Wang Jian did not continue to stay. Looking at the two of them gradually disappearing, Zhou Tian's face suddenly smiled. However, the 6 elders behind him were extremely solemn. "Patriarch, this matter is a little troublesome. If both sides start a war, I'm afraid we'll be implicated." How could Zhou Tian not know the worries of the 6 elders? "It's fine. The 6 of you remember, our Zhou family doesn't know anything. Don't interfere in anything. I'm very curious to see how both sides will develop. In the courtyard, Brother Black Wolf, Wang Jin, and Qin Chuan will definitely not let this matter rest. If nothing goes wrong, the two of them will definitely deal with you. So what? Looking at the indifferent face of his brother Black Wolf, Zhou Hao was dumbfounded. Could it be that Brother Black Wolf did not care about the two great families at all? However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. If Big Brother Hei Lang placed the two great families in his eyes, Big Brother Hei Lang wouldn't have acted like that just now. As for Zhou Hao, he chose to believe Big Brother Hei Lang 100% in his heart. Brother Zhou, although your cultivation has reached the heavenly god realm, it's extremely difficult for you to progress further. Therefore, you have to work harder and put in more effort than others. Brother Black Wolf, don't worry. I'll work harder. Zhou Hao was very clear that this opportunity did not come easily. If he missed it, it would be almost impossible for him to get such an opportunity again in the future. Next, Zhou Hao cultivated his cultivation method and martial technique, while Longao was still recovering from his injuries. Not only that, but he was also continuously cultivating the reincarnation heavenly eye. After the previous few transformations, spatial teleportation, and reincarnation doppelgangers, there was no doubt that the reincarnation heavenly eye from the fourth transformation was definitely not to be underestimated. Even so, Longao was still a little eager to try out the power of the reincarnation heavenly eye. However, with his current injuries, it was impossible for him to battle a god emperor martial artist, and it was also impossible for him to battle a god venerable. Just like this, Longao found a god emperor level divine beast and directly opened his reincarnation heavenly eye. Knowing was one thing, experiencing it personally was another. As soon as the reincarnation heavenly eye was opened, Longao's eyes suddenly shot out two rays of black light, directly hitting the divine beast. The divine beast was unharmed, but it fell to the ground and died. However, the reincarnation heavenly eye directly shattered the divine beast's divine soul. What kind of concept was that? Not only that, with the help of the reincarnation heavenly eye, Longao could even use some very strange divine powers. If he did not personally possess such a heavenly eye, Longao would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. In Blackwater City, Zhou Hao's popularity still did not diminish. Everywhere one could hear about the Black Wolf and Zhou Hao, there was a lot of discussion. It could be said that the trash that no one paid attention to before had now become the most popular person in Blackwater City. Moreover, everyone was speculating about the origin of the mysterious Black Wolf who helped Zhou Hao. Chapter 15-17. Everything was calm. The Wang family and Qin family did not make a move as expected. Before a storm, there would always be a period of calm. Qin family. In the backyard, in the pavilion, Qin Chuan and Wang Jin sat facing each other. Both of their faces were solemn. Even with the strength of the two families, they were unable to find out Black Wolf's true identity. After all, there were only so many second-rate forces in the Sky Martial continent. The two of them were certain that Black Wolf was not from the 10-direction tripod. Brother Qin, we are unable to confirm Black Wolf's identity. Are we just going to wait and do nothing? Black Wolf is fearless. I'm afraid he has something to rely on. How could Wang Jin not know what Qin Chuan meant? After thinking for a while, Wang Jin said, Brother Qin, if we don't make a move, once Black Wolf leaves Blackwater City, it will not be easy for us to find him. Brother Wang means? Let's end this quickly. Wang Jin smiled and continued, Brother Qin. If we are fast enough and stealthy enough, even if this person has a background, we will be able to do it without anyone knowing. Wang Jin seemed to be impatient and wanted to make a move immediately. In the end, Qin Chuan nodded in agreement. Qin Chuan and Wang Jin did not make a move personally. In their opinion, a small Black Wolf would not be able to cause much trouble. Because of this, the two of them chose a Divine King martial artist each. With two Divine King martial artists joining forces to deal with Longao, it was more than enough for the two of them. Night. It was exceptionally quiet. The entire Blackwater City was bustling, especially the city center. People were coming and going as if it was daytime. The Zhou family was located not far from the city center. However, the Zhou family was not noisy. Instead, it was unusually quiet. Not only the Zhou family, but all the families in Blackwater City were the same. Zhou family, in a dilapidated courtyard. According to Zhou Hao's current situation, the Zhou family should change a place for him. Furthermore, there was still Longao. However, whether it was Longao or Zhou Hao, the two of them did not agree to change a place. Furthermore, they did not allow the Zhou family to rebuild the courtyard. This made everyone in the Zhou family depressed. There was only Longao in the courtyard. Zhou Hao's cultivation method and martial skill seemed to have reached a bottleneck. Because of this, every night, Zhou Hao would leave the Zhou clan and head deep into the mountains to cultivate for 6 hours. The reincarnation heavenly eye could see through everything. Longao opened his reincarnation heavenly eye and looked at the endless void in front of him. His mind was clear. Right at this moment, "Since you're here, please show yourself." 2 black figures flashed, and in the next second, 2 black-robed men appeared in front of Longao. They were the 2 god kings sent by the Wang clan and Qin clan. The 2 of them didn't hide anything as they sneered, "Black Wolf, hand over the method to improve and we can spare your life. Otherwise, this time next year will be the anniversary of your death." He wasn't surprised at all. That was because Longao had already predicted that the Wang clan and Qin clan would not let this matter rest. However, Longao had not expected them to arrive this quickly. In fact, they might not even make it through the night. 2 god king martial artists. The Wang clan and Qin clan had really thought highly of him. 2 god kings. In Blackwater City, they were probably people who could cause a tremor with just a stomp of their feet. However, Longao did not care about the 2 of them at all. If they were God Emperor martial artists, he might be wary of them. After all, dealing with God Emperors wasn't an easy task. If they were God Kings, there was no need for Long Chong. He alone was more than enough to deal with them. What if I don't hand it over? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Hearing these words, the 2 of them burst out laughing maniacally as though they had just heard the funniest joke in the world. In the eyes of the 2 of them, a puny little god Dao martial artist was just an ant-like existence. The 2 of them looked at each other and could see the contempt in each other's eyes. They asked, "Do you want to do it, or should I?" "You do it." Chuckling, the god king of the Wang clan sneered coldly, "I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the method to raise your cultivation level, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, not only will you die, we'll also search your soul. We'll still be able to get it." Soul search was a martial technique that everyone in the Sky Martial Continent despised. No matter who it was, no one would dare to use it openly. However, in private, most people did not care about such things. After all, one could obtain any information they wanted through a soul search. Longao did not care at all. He looked up at the sky and said indifferently, "One move." "One move?" What did that mean? Hearing Hei Lang's words, the 2 of them seemed to be in a daze. They had seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen such an arrogant person. If a divine emperor had said this to them, they would have believed it. But if it was just a divine emperor, it was simply a joke, the biggest joke in the world. "Black Wolf, you're arrogant, but I'll let you know the consequences of your arrogance." The 2 of them sensed the aura coming from Longao. However, Longao did not release his God Dao aura. It was because of this that the 2 of them did not put him in their eyes. Otherwise, if the 2 of them knew that this black wolf standing before them was not only not a God Dao martial artist, but a God Dao martial artist who knew if they would still act the same way, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Kill. The God King expert of the Wang clan took a step forward and dashed out. One had to admit that this person was not only strong, his speed was also incomparably fast. However, before the God King expert of the Wang clan could get close to him, Longao, who had not moved all this while suddenly spoke. Time rewind. A shocking scene happened. The God King of the Wang clan found that his speed had suddenly slowed down. Not only that, Longao still did not make a move. He only activated his reincarnation heavenly eye. Longao's eyes suddenly turned pure black and directly shot out 2 black rays. The gap between a God King and a God Venerable was too big, not to mention Longao. It was because of this that Longao dared to use his reincarnation heavenly eye without fully recovering from his injuries. A blood-curdling scream was heard. The God King of the Wang clan's divine soul was directly shattered. His eyes became hollow, and he directly fell down, colliding heavily with the ground. Behind him, the Qin clan's God King stared blankly at the scene. Until now, he did not expect that Black Wolf could defeat the Wang clan's God King with just one move. What kind of concept was that? Killing a God King in one move, without moving at all. The Qin clan's God King had already guessed that the other party was most likely a God Emperor expert, and had either a God Emperor's attack or a martial technique. Otherwise, even a Nirvana realm expert would not be able to do so. After all, he did not feel the slightest bit of aura or domain pressure. The Qin clan's God King knew his own limits. He and the Wang clan's God King were evenly matched. Since the Wang clan's God King was defeated by Black Wolf in one move, even if he made a move, the result would still be the same. Under such circumstances, if he continued to stay, only death would await him. The Qin clan's God King naturally did not want to sacrifice his life in vain. He immediately turned and prepared to leave. However, would Longao give him the chance to leave? Want to leave. Innate divine ability, Dragon Roar. At the same time, the Qin clan's God King's body was already locked down by the space. Under the Qin clan's God King's shocked gaze, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared and appeared in front of the Qin clan's God King in an instant. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Why are you leaving now? Just who are you? The Qin clan's God King was terrified. This person's speed was too fast. In his opinion, even the family head might not be able to move this fast. Was this person a Nirvana realm expert? Impossible. This was completely impossible. Just how old was this youth in front of him? To be able to reach the divine Tao, even the supreme divine Tao, was already an impossible matter, let alone being a Nirvana realm expert. There were only a few Nirvana realm experts in the entire Martial Heaven continent. Furthermore, each Nirvana realm expert was a famous existence. He had never heard of such a Nirvana realm expert. It doesn't matter who I am. I've already said that I can kill you all in one move. It's important to know your own limits. Once you become arrogant, there's only one result: death. Don't even think about leaving. Without continuing to talk nonsense, Longao's reincarnation heavenly eye opened. Two rays of black light shot onto the Qin clan's divine king's body and directly began to attack his divine soul. In a short span of 1 second, the Qin clan's divine king already fell to the ground and could not get up. From then on, in less than a few minutes, the two divine kings from the Wang family and the Qin family were killed by Longao. If this matter were to spread out, it would definitely shake the entire Blackwater city, especially the Wang family and the Qin family. They probably would never have thought that the two divine kings they sent out would be killed in such a short period of time. Even for super families like the Wang and Qin clans, they couldn't afford to lose god kings. If they had known this would happen, they probably wouldn't have sent their god kings. They would have just been sending their god kings to their deaths. The night was still exceptionally quiet. Longao was the only one in the entire courtyard, and there were also two corpses that had already fallen. Croak, croak, croak. Not long after, a black shadow flashed quickly. Zhou had finished cultivating and returned. As soon as he stepped into the courtyard, he didn't even have time to greet Longao when he saw the two corpses on the ground. His expression completely changed. Even Zhou had guessed the origins of these two corpses. If he wasn't wrong, these two corpses were definitely from the Wang and Qin clans. It seemed those two clans had been unable to hold back and had attacked Black Wolf. No matter how you put it, the Wang and Qin clan's strength was clear for all to see. As the super families of Blackwater City, they were the absolute overlords. Their strength was not something to be messed around with. If those two clans wanted to deal with Black Wolf, then 1 against 2, how would Black Wolf deal with them? Brother Black Wolf, the Wang and Qin clans won't let this go. If they learn of this, they'll probably go all out to deal with you. Why don't you leave Blackwater City for now? No matter how unwilling Zhou was, he had no other choice. Brother Black Wolf's safety was his #1 priority. Chapter 15:18. Zhou smiled. How could Longao not know about Zhou's worries? However, Longao had never planned to leave. The reason was simple. Once he left, Would the Wang family and Qin family let the Zhou family and Zhou Hao go? He couldn't implicate Zhou Hao. Longao knew very well that although Zhou Hao had broken through to the heavenly god realm, there were many people in Blackwater City who could kill Zhou Hao. For example, Wang family's patriarch Wang Jian and Qin family's patriarch Qin Chuan could kill Zhou Hao in minutes. Brother Zhou, I won't leave. Brother Blackwolf, about this. He waved his hand. Without waiting for Zhou Hao to finish, Longao continued, I know what to do, but I won't stay in Blackwater City for too long. I'll leave after I'm done with your matter. His matter? Hearing Black Wolf's words, Zhou Hao seemed to be curious. He didn't know what Brother Black Wolf was talking about. Could it be about his cultivation? It was slightly impossible because Zhou Hao was aware of his own talent. Even if he had Big Brother He Lang's help, wanting to continue breaking through in such a short period of time and attain the supreme divine Tao realm seemed to be slightly impossible. After breaking through to the heavenly god realm, it would be 100 times harder for him to break through. Brother Black Wolf, I want to ask, what is it about me? Zhou Hao, do you want the Zhou family to become the #1 family in Blackwater City? No. Zhou Hao didn't even think about it, nor did he hesitate in the slightest. This time, Longao was a little surprised, because in his opinion, no matter how Zhou Hao was in the past, he was still a disciple of the Zhou clan. Since he was a member of the Zhou clan, then there was no doubt that Zhou Hao would want the Zhou clan to dominate Blackwater City. It was because of this. Longao was prepared to help Zhou Hao complete this matter and then leave Blackwater City. But in the end? Brother Zhou, what do you mean? Zhou Hao's rejection made Longao confused. He didn't know what Zhou Hao meant. Big Brother Black Wolf, I believe that you have a general understanding of Blackwater City's strength. Longao nodded, indicating that he understood. My Zhou clan is no longer what it used to be. Even if we can become the overlord of Blackwater City, what about the future? At this moment, Zhou Hao was almost certain that this Big Brother Black Wolf in front of him, not to mention his status, just his strength was enough to kill 2 God King martial artists. His strength spoke for itself. Moreover, since Big Brother Black Wolf was so confident that he could help the clan become the overlord of Blackwater City, then there was no doubt that Big Brother Black Wolf definitely had the strength to do so. However, Zhou Hao was very worried about the strength and foundation of his family. Zhou Hao knew that even if the clan could become the overlord of Blackwater City with the help of Brother Black Wolf, what about the future? Once Big Brother Black Wolf left Blackwater City, how would the Zhou family deal with it? If that was the case, then the family wouldn't even have the chance to retreat. I understand. Longao didn't think about this problem, but Zhou Hao's worries were very reasonable. A clan that relied on the help of outsiders to become the overlord for a short period of time was ultimately not a long-term solution. Big Brother Black Wolf, but I would like to ask my father about this matter first. I will accompany you. Longao found it funny. It seemed that Zhou Hao was also unwilling. After all, for the Zhou clan to become the overlord of Blackwater City, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Zhou clan. A few minutes later, Zhou clan's main hall. Mr. Black Wolf, please take a seat. Seeing Black Wolf and his son arrive, Zhou Tian's attitude was very good. After all, Black Wolf didn't even put the Wang and Qin clan in his eyes, let alone him. Plop, plop. Mr. Black Wolf, this is? Looking at the 2 corpses that suddenly appeared on the ground, Zhou Tian was very curious. He didn't know why Black Wolf and his son suddenly brought out these 2 corpses. Father, these are the 2 God King experts sent by the Wang and Qin clans, but they were already killed by Big Brother Black Wolf. Hearing his son's words, Zhou Tian was completely stunned. 2 God Kings? Just now, his son said that the 2 corpses on the ground were actually God King experts. Was this true? Looking at Black Wolf in front of him, Zhou Tian seemed to be in disbelief. Because if Black Wolf could kill 2 God King experts, didn't that mean that Black Wolf was very likely to be a God Emperor expert? It was somewhat unbelievable. His son was friends with such an expert. It was simply the Zhou clan's fortune. In an instant, Zhou Tian's attitude changed 180 degrees, causing Zhou Hao to be a little dumbfounded. His father's change was a little too fast. Without the slightest bit of surprise, Longao said indifferently, Brother Zhou, tell your father about my intentions. Nodding his head, Zhou Hao didn't hesitate at all and immediately told his father about his intentions with Black Wolf. However, Zhou Hao didn't express his opinion. After all, he was only a disciple of the Zhou clan, and the clan head was his father. After hearing this, Zhou Tian wasn't as surprised as he expected because he had the same worries as Zhou Hao. With the current strength of the Zhou clan, even if they could become the overlord of Blackwater City, it would only be temporary. No matter what, the Zhou clan didn't have an expert to hold the fort. The strongest expert in the Zhou clan was only a man-god expert. With the Zhou clan's current strength, it would be difficult for the Zhou clan to deal with other clans, let alone two supreme forces. Moreover, once the Zhou clan became the overlord of Blackwater City and Black Wolf disappeared, the Zhou clan would become public enemy number one. At that time, all the clans would work together to deal with the Zhou clan. How would the Zhou clan deal with that? As the patriarch of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tian knew that no matter what he did, he had to prioritize the interests of the Zhou clan. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes, or the Zhou clan would be doomed. For a moment, the entire hall fell silent. None of the three of them said a single word. Time passed bit by bit. After who knew how long, Zhou Tian raised his head and said with determination, "Mr. Black Wolf, I hope you can assist my Zhou clan in becoming the overlord of Blackwater City. However, I want to ask Mr. Black Wolf if you have any way to protect my Zhou clan's position in Blackwater City." Zhou Tian was only asking probingly because he had already guessed that Black Wolf's strength was anything but simple. Either that, or he had a powerful backer. If that was the case, as long as Black Wolf was willing to assist the Zhou clan, becoming the overlord of Blackwater City would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Zhou clan. As the patriarch of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tian was unwilling to give up on such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even if it meant risking his life, he wouldn't hesitate. Chapter 15-19. Wang family and Qin family have been annihilated. I'll give you 2 Level 4 Supreme Divine Beasts. Level 4 Supreme Divine Beasts were equivalent to Emperor God level Divine Beasts. It would be a lie to say that they weren't shocked. Zhou Tian and Zhou Hao had never expected Black Wolf to say something like that. Putting aside the 2 Level 4 Supreme Divine Beasts, the annihilation of Wang family and Qin family was something that even a second-rate force couldn't do, let alone Black Wolf. No one knew if it was true. Even if it was Zhou Hao, although he trusted Big Brother Heilang, this matter was a little unbelievable. Brother Black Wolf, Wang family and Qin family are the overlords of Blackwater City. They are extremely powerful. Our Zhou family stands no chance. Longao smiled. I'll take care of Wang family and Qin family. The rest is up to you. Up to me? If that was the case, Zhou Tian was very confident. Wang family and Qin family had been annihilated. If Zhou family had 2 Level 4 Supreme Divine Beasts, who would be a match for Zhou family in Blackwater City? Unless it was a second-rate force with a Nirvana Realm martial artist. However, such a force wouldn't casually step into Blackwater City unless they were bored. Thank you, Mr. Black Wolf. Since things had come to this, Zhou Tian didn't continue to think. Opportunities were for those who were prepared. Send the 2 corpses back to Wang family and Qin family. Tell them that I'm the one who did it. Zhou Tian seemed like he wanted to say something, but the words were already at the tip of his tongue, so he swallowed them back. An hour later, both Wang family and Qin family received their corpses. The higher-ups of Wang family and Qin family were in a mess. God King martial artists were dead. What did that mean? Regardless of whether it was the Wang clan or the Qin clan, they were the absolute overlords of Blackwater City. Who would dare to kill a member of the 2 clans in Blackwater City? Moreover, they were God King experts. It was simply like trying to pull a tooth out of a tiger's mouth. Wang Jian and Qin Chuan also knew about it. Others might not know, but the 2 of them knew the whole story. That was indeed the case. The 2 of them had never imagined that the 2 God King martial artists they sent not only failed to kill the Black Wolf, but were instead killed by the Black Wolf, and their corpses were even sent back. If that was the case, didn't it mean that Black Wolf's cultivation was at least in the Divine Emperor realm? If that was the case, they would be in big trouble. Black Wolf's strength had far exceeded their expectations. Otherwise, even if he beat them to death, he would not have sent 2 God King martial artists to their deaths. Not only had Black Wolf killed someone, but he had also sent the corpse back. This was a clear provocation to the two great families. The Wang family. In the pavilion in the backyard, Qin Chuan, who had just arrived, said impatiently, "I believe you've also received the corpse. What should we do now?" The two of them were almost certain that they had each received a corpse. Wang Jin's expression was very serious because no one had expected Black Wolf to be so powerful and so arrogant. Unless he was a fool, he must have the capital to be arrogant. The two of them believed that Black Wolf was definitely not a fool. Then, there was only one reason, and that was that Black Wolf had enough capital to not be afraid of the two great families. Was Black Wolf himself powerful? Or did Black Wolf have a powerful backer behind him, and thus, he was fearless? The two of them were almost certain that Black Wolf's strength was at least in the God King realm, or even the Divine Emperor realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to kill two God King martial artists. But one had to know. Among all the people in the Zhou family, the strongest martial artist was the patriarch of the Zhou family, Zhou Tian, who was only in the man-god realm. Moreover, the two of them were almost certain that the Zhou family would not dare to help Black Wolf deal with the two great families. This is a little troublesome. What do you mean? Black Wolf's age is obvious. If you say that he is a supreme god, I will not believe it even if you beat me to death. The two of them could not believe it, but the truth was right in front of them. How could they not believe it? Qin Chuan thought for a moment and said, "This person's origin shouldn't be simple. Although I can't be sure of his strength, I can say with certainty that he definitely has a powerful divine weapon on him. You should know that even if a heavenly god cultivator has a powerful divine weapon, it's not impossible for them to kill enemies above their level." Wang Jin nodded in agreement, because such a situation had happened before. "Brother Qin, should we do it ourselves?" Under such circumstances, Wang Jin was prepared to do it himself. "If that's the case, let's go." Wang Jin and Qin Chuan did not continue to hesitate. The two of them stood up and flew into the sky. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had disappeared without a trace. The two of them did not disturb anyone in the Zhou family when they entered this time, because the two of them knew that regardless of whether the Zhou family was related to this matter, they had to deal with Black Wolf first. As for the small Zhou family, as long as they were willing, they could deal with the Zhou family anytime in the future. "Mr. Black Wolf, isn't the gift you've given us a bit too much?" In the courtyard, Longao sat on the stone bench with a lazy face. He was not surprised by the sudden arrival of the two people. It was as if he had already guessed it. As for Zhou Hao, he stood behind Longao with a cold face. "Gift? Are the two of you a little retarded? If I remember correctly, I should at most return the gift. Otherwise, the two of you will definitely say that I do not know the rules." Black Wolf's words made them speechless, because they had sent a divine king to assassinate Longao first. Just like what Longao said, it was a matter of returning the favor. However, the two of them came this time to deal with Longao and obtain the method to increase their strength. As for whether they were shameless or not, the two of them did not even consider it. Qin Chuan sneered. He glanced at Zhou Hao behind Hei Lang and coldly said, "Zhou Hao, as a member of my Blackwater City, you're helping an outsider kill a disciple of my Blackwater City. Do you know the consequences?" "I don't know. Can Patriarch Qin please tell me?" Qin Chuan was a little surprised at Zhou Hao's disregard. "Is this still the same trash from before?" "Zhou Hao, your mistake is unforgivable. If you persist in going about things the wrong way, not only you, but even your family will be implicated. Not a single one of you will be left alive." Using the Zhou family to threaten Zhou Hao, the two of them were shameless to the extreme. Zhou Hao seemed to want to say something, but he was stopped by Longao with a wave of his hand. "Brother Zhou, do you remember what I said to you? Reasoning with shameless people is like playing the lute to a cow. If you have the time, why don't you and I have a drink? Why waste time? Patriarch Zhou? Patriarch Qin? In my opinion, the two of you are not much different from a cow." Humiliation. Naked humiliation. Longao did not put the two of them in his eyes at all. Anyone could see that. Chapter 1520. Anger. Endless anger. As the patriarchs of the Wang and Qin families, Wang Jin and Qin Chuan's status was obvious. Moreover, They were the strongest warriors in Blackwater City. When had they ever been humiliated like this? Never before. Even so, they did not attack immediately. The reason was simple. The calmer Black Wolf was, the more uncertain they were. Could it be that Black Wolf's strength had really surpassed theirs? It was a little ridiculous. The two of them did not believe that the Hei Lang in front of them was a Nirvana realm martial artist. It was almost impossible. Taking a step back, even if Hei Lang was a god emperor martial artist, how could the two of them not be able to deal with Hei Lang alone? They were only worried about one thing. It was not Black Wolf's strength, but Black Wolf's divine weapon. Leave Blackwater City, and I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, both the Wang and Qin families will disappear from this world forever. What did that mean? Wang Jian and Qin Chuan were not fools. They knew what Longao meant. Black Wolf, you are too arrogant. In their opinion, Hei Lang's words were a bit ridiculous because there was only one possibility for Hei Lang to drive away the two great clans. It was an impossible possibility, and that was Hei Lang was neither a Supreme Tao warrior nor a Supreme Tao warrior, but a Nirvana warrior. If that was really the case, the two of them would not hesitate at all and immediately leave Blackwater City with their families. However, if that was the case, would Hei Lang still be wasting time here with the two of them? There was no doubt about it. How could Longao not know what the two of them were thinking? This matter could not progress too quickly. No matter what, the Zhou family's foundation was too weak. Even if he could help the Zhou family, it would be difficult for the Zhou family to become the overlord of Blackwater City in the future. Therefore, this matter had to be done slowly. Without continuing to talk nonsense, Longao's body suddenly erupted with an imposing aura. The aura of heaven and earth, the unique aura of heaven and earth of Nirvana realm warriors. Feeling the suppression of the world's aura, the two of them were extremely shocked. It was as if they had seen a ghost. However, the two of them quickly felt the difference in the chi of heaven and earth. After all, Longao's cultivation had yet to officially break through to the Nirvana realm. The chi of heaven and earth that he possessed was very different from the chi of heaven and earth that a Nirvana realm martial artist possessed. Ha ha ha, so you just condensed the chi of heaven and earth in advance. Don't think you can scare us. Just because his aura was overwhelming, it did not mean that he was stronger than the two of them. On this point, Longao still had self-awareness. The two of them did not hesitate and immediately released their level 4 Supreme God domains. As the two great level 4 Supreme Divine domains overlapped, their might was not as simple as 1 plus 1. Under the suppression of heaven and earth, Longao also released his own level 3 Supreme Divine domain. An ultimate God warrior? Sensing Black Wolf's level 3 Supreme Divine territory, the two of them knew Black Wolf's true strength. He was only an ultimate god. The 4 supreme realms, from the lowest to the highest, were Divine King, Divine Emperor, Ultimate God, and Emperor God. Correspondingly, from low to high, god domains were divided into level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 supreme god domains. Both of them were Emperor God martial artists, so the divine domain they released was a level 4 supreme divine domain. Longao was a hierarch martial artist, so the divine domain he released was only a level 3 supreme divine domain. Under normal circumstances, the difference between level 3 and level 4 supreme divine domains was huge, especially when two level 4 supreme divine domains overlapped. It was a completely oppressive battle. Zhou Hao did not make a move. It was not that Zhou Hao was unwilling to make a move. It was not because Zhou Hao was afraid of death, but because Longao had already told Zhou Hao that no matter what happened, he was not allowed to make a move. Zhou Hao was only a heavenly god. If he made a move, he would only die. The difference between a heavenly god and a god emperor could not be made up even with trump cards and divine abilities. Black Wolf's brother was an ultimate god warrior. Zhou Hao was also shocked to the extreme because he did not expect Black Wolf's brother to be an ultimate god warrior who was above the Divine King realm. He was in the 3rd supreme realm of the 4 supreme realms. Zhou Hao finally knew why Big Brother Black Wolf could kill 2 Divine King martial artists. However, Zhou Hao did not relax at all under such circumstances. Even if Black Wolf was an ultimate god warrior, it was still unknown whether he could win against 2 Emperor god warriors at the same time. The battle was not as earth-shattering as they had imagined. Longao did not use his reincarnation Heavenly Eye because of the difference in their realms. The reason was simple. If his injuries were healed, Longao would not be afraid even if he was facing an Emperor God warrior with the power of his reincarnation Heavenly Eye, as long as he was not facing a Nirvana realm warrior. This was because he believed in the reincarnation Heavenly Eye and the 9 Revolutions reincarnation technique. However, the problem now was that his injuries had only recovered by 70%. If he used his reincarnation Heavenly Eye recklessly and was unable to disperse their divine souls, there would only be one result. He would suffer a backlash and possibly have his divine soul shattered. The consequences would be unimaginable. Brother Zhou, watch carefully now. I'll teach you another move. It's my self-created sorrow of heaven and earth. Self-created martial arts technique? The 3 of them were shocked when they heard Longao's words. This was because very few people were able to create their own martial arts technique. The martial arts techniques that the warriors possess today were all passed down from generation to generation. The biggest reason why the warriors did not create their own martial arts techniques was that their self-created martial arts techniques were not powerful enough. Compared to the martial arts techniques passed down from generation to generation, one was like heaven and the other was like hell. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. The 2 of them did not think much of it. How powerful could a self-created martial art technique of an ultimate god be? Whether it was Wang Jian or Qin Chuan, they did not take Longao seriously at all. Both of them increased the intensity of their attacks. The 2 types of level 4 supreme divine domains stacked together and suppressed Longao fiercely. It was almost impossible for an ordinary ultimate god to use a level 3 supreme divine domain to contend against a level 4 supreme divine domain in a one-on-one situation, let alone 1 against 2. Self-created martial arts technique, sorrow of heaven and earth. As his cultivation base continued to increase, there was a period of time when Longao chose to give up on sorrow of heaven and earth because he realized that its power was not as strong as other martial arts techniques. However, after surviving a great calamity and breaking through to the 4th transformation of the 9 transformation technique, Longao realized that his self-created sorrow of heaven and earth was not weak. It was because of him that Longao upgraded sorrow of heaven and earth. In this way, the power of sorrow of heaven and earth had increased by more than 1 level. This was also the first time Longao used sorrow of heaven and earth after its upgrade. He wanted to see how powerful sorrow of heaven and earth was now. Chapter 1521. Self-created martial technique, heaven and earth sorrow. The aura around Longao's body fluctuated faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, a huge vortex was formed with Longao as the center. Vortex of Qi. This time, heaven and earth sorrow had been upgraded. Longao had directly fused his time sure kill technique. In the eyes of outsiders, such a fusion of martial techniques was completely suicidal. Since ancient times, no one had dared to fuse 2 powerful martial techniques. Not only that, Longao's fusion was not an ordinary martial technique, but one of the most powerful martial techniques in the world, the time martial technique. Heaven and earth sorrow had fused with the time sure kill technique. Once the fusion was successful, the power would multiply. If the fusion failed, there would only be one result, and that was Longao would be killed. One had to admit that Longao was really bold. If one was outside the vortex, the impact would not be too great. Once one was sucked into the vortex, coupled with the effect of the time sure kill technique, one's speed would be greatly reduced. Wang Jian and Qin Chuan did not seem to expect Longao to suddenly do this. Caught off guard, both Wang Jian and Qin Chuan were instantly sucked into the vortex. Looking at the huge vortex in front of him, Zhou Hao was a little dumbfounded. Was this the true strength of Brother Black Wolf? Black Wolf was actually able to fight against the combined power of 2 emperor gods as an ultimate god. If this news were to spread, it would definitely shake Blackwater City. Powerful. Zhou Hao could only use one word to describe Black Wolf's strength. Powerful. Zhou Hao had a feeling that once he was sucked into the vortex, he would probably be instantly killed without any chance of survival. Inside the vortex, Wang Jian and Qin Chuan looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. There was even a trace of fear. Both of them had never thought that Black Wolf's self-created martial technique would be so powerful. They did not dare to be careless. Both of them continued to release their respective level 4 supreme divine domains. Not only that, both of them also used their respective trump cards. Emperor gods were emperor gods after all. The combined power of the two was not to be underestimated. If Longao was at his peak, he might be able to defeat emperor gods. But now, Emperor Dragon 9 kills. Emperor Dragon's Raging Waves, Emperor Dragon's Heaven Burial, Emperor Dragon's Strangulation, Emperor Dragon's Dominance, Emperor Dragon's Collapse, Emperor Dragon's Meteor Explosion, Emperor Dragon's Heart Devour, Emperor Dragon's Devour, and Emperor Dragon's Destruction of the Firmament. Boom. Pung pung. Pung pung pung. The two of them were instantly overjoyed when they directly struck Longao, because the two of them were completely confident in their own strength. Unless the opponent was a Nirvana realm martial artist, otherwise, no matter who it was, if the opponent was attacked by the two of them consecutively, even if he didn't die, he would be on the verge of death. But what was the result? Black Wolf was not injured at all, and he continued to smash the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills. What was going on? Could it be that the power of his attack was so weak? The two of them did not quite believe it. However, Longao did not give them the slightest chance to catch their breaths. The slightest bit of carelessness would result in their deaths. The black tortoise armor had fused with his body. Now, Longao's physical defense had reached a terrifying level. In other words, unless a Nirvana realm martial artist personally came, even then, it would be impossible for a Nirvana realm martial artist to finish him off. As for the two god emperors, unless Longao stood still and let the two of them attack, the two of them would need to use all their strength to break Longao's physical defense. This was the real reason why Longao was so fearless. His super strong defense allowed Longao to ignore the attacks of the god emperors. As the battle continued to escalate, Longao gradually gained the upper hand. This in itself was an unimaginable thing, and the more the two of them fought, the more frightened they became. They looked at each other. Retreat. The battle had already reached this stage, and the two of them were very clear that even if the two of them joined forces, they would not be able to kill each other. If they continued to fight, only death would await them. Although it sounded a little ridiculous, the truth was right in front of them. There was no need for them to go head-to-head with Black Wolf. Just like that, the two of them gave it their all. With their combined strength, they still managed to break through the vortex. Not daring to linger any longer, the two of them left at their fastest speed. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had disappeared without a trace. Cough, cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. Cough, 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 cough. With his injuries not fully healed yet, Longao could not take the blow of forcefully fusing martial skills and taking on the attacks of the two of them head-on. Thankfully, he had already recovered 70% of his injuries. Otherwise, this battle would have had a huge impact on him. Big Brother Black Wolf, are you all right? Looking at his big brother Black Wolf coughing repeatedly, Zhou Hao asked worriedly. However, for Big Brother Black Wolf to be able to take on two god emperors alone and even defeat them, this battle could already be considered as Big Brother Black Wolf's victory. Shaking his head, Longao sat down and chuckled. I'm fine. If I could recover fully from my injuries, the chances of those two escaping from this battle would be close to zero. Even so, Zhou Hao was still taken aback. After all, he already knew of Big Brother Black Wolf's strength. He was only at the hierarch state, and the difference between him and the two god emperors was still huge. For Big Brother Black Wolf to be able to win was already a blessing in disguise. Zhou Hao had never thought that Big Brother Black Wolf would be able to hold back the two god emperor family heads. Big Brother Black Wolf, the two of them escaped in such a pathetic manner this time around. I'm afraid they won't let this go so easily. If they were to fight openly, we wouldn't have to worry about them. But if they were to play dirty, we wouldn't be able to defend against them. Longao nodded. How could he not know what Zhou Hao meant? No matter what, the Wang family and Qin family's foundation were still there. If they were to play dirty, it would be very troublesome. Longao was very unhappy. He had been too careless this time around. According to his calculation, the chances of him winning this battle was very high. Once the two of them died, It wouldn't be difficult for him to deal with the Wang family and Qin family. However, Longao didn't expect that Wang Jian and Qin Chuan were so powerful. Their combined strength was actually able to break through the qi barrier created by the fusion of martial skills. This was something that Longao didn't expect. Otherwise, Longao wouldn't have been so reckless. This time, he didn't succeed in killing the two of them. Longao knew that the two of them were probably scared out of their wits. Unless there was water in their heads, the two of them would definitely not come to fight with him again. In this case, unless he went to look for the two of them, but in this case, he would become very passive. Miscalculation. A huge miscalculation. However, it was too late to regret now. Longao would definitely not look for the two of them unless his injuries were completely healed. With Longchang's help, he wouldn't be afraid even if the two families joined hands. This was his confidence. Let's wait and see. I would like to see what the two families are going to do next. Chapter 1522. They fled in panic. After this battle, Wang Jian and Qin Chuan were completely scared out of their wits. Black Wolf was only a godly venerable warrior, so they did not take him seriously at all. However, they did not expect Black Wolf to be so powerful that he still had the upper hand in a 1 versus 2 situation. Wang family. In the backyard pavilion, the two of them managed to escape and heaved a sigh of relief. Until now, the two of them were still in a daze. Brother Qin, what do you think about this? Qin Chuan thought for a moment and said, I'm sure that Black Wolf is only a godly venerable, but he has a powerful martial technique that can kill enemies above his level. Even Wang Jian and Qin Chuan were tempted by such a martial technique. They could not wait to get their hands on it. Brother Qin, we can't defeat this person even if we work together. It seems that no one in Blackwater City is his match. Not necessarily. Hearing Qin Chuan's words, Wang Jian seemed to have guessed something, and his expression changed instantly. Brother Qin, are you going to tell the Lord about this? You and I can't kill Black Wolf, so we can only ask the Lord for help. Wang Jian was also a little helpless. If there was a way, he would not have to take this step. Wang Jian knew very well that if they asked the Lord for help, then all of Black Wolf's treasures and secrets would belong to the Lord alone. It would have nothing to do with them. Would Qin Chuan agree? Shaking his head, Qin Chuan said in an extremely serious tone, Brother Wang, I believe I don't need to say more about the consequences of doing this. Since that's the case, why do we have to do this? Aren't we just letting the future generation enjoy the shade? The future generation enjoys the shade. How could Wang Jian not understand what Qin Chuan meant? If we don't do this, not just you and me, but our families will be in trouble. Black Wolf has already said that he will help the Zhou family to become the overlord of Blackwater City. Zhou family. Brother Wang, what I mean is very simple. No matter what, we can't ask the Lord for help. If we can get the secrets on this person, including his martial technique, you and I. Next, Wang Jian and Qin Chuan had a secret discussion. As for what they talked about, no one knew except for the two of them. After Longao defeated the two of them, he didn't follow up with another attack. In his opinion, this wasn't the best time yet. Of course, it was impossible for Longao to possess a level 4 Supreme Divine Beast. Mystical Dragon Corpse Slave. When they first entered the Dragon Graveyard, Longao had refined 2/3 of the Divine Dragon Soul. The remaining 1/3 had been constantly refined by Long Fu. However, without the Dragon Seal space, Longao only had one thing to do, and that was to summon his reincarnation doppelganger as quickly as possible. Reincarnation doppelganger. As Longao's clone, as long as Longao was willing, he could summon it at any time. According to the distance between the two places, it would take about a day for the reincarnation doppelganger to arrive at Blackwater City. The next day, dusk gradually disappeared, and night slowly descended. The Zhou clan was very peaceful because Zhou Tian had already given the order that no matter who it was, no one was allowed to leave the Zhou clan without permission. No one in the Zhou clan knew what was going on, but since the clan head had given such an order, no one dared to disobey. Outside the courtyard, at this moment, Zhou Tian was extremely surprised. This was because he already knew that He Lang had not only fought Wang Jian and Qin Chuan alone, but he had also defeated the two of them, causing them to flee in panic. What kind of concept was that? Although Zhou Tian also knew that Black Wolf's true strength was only in the ultimate god realm, there was no doubt about Black Wolf's strength as he was able to defeat 2 emperor gods alone. As the clan head of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tian was not an ordinary person. He was an old fox. Zhou Tian had already noticed that Black Wolf's identity was definitely not simple. If the Zhou clan had Black Wolf's help, it would not be impossible for them to dominate Blackwater City. Zhou Tian did not dare to enter the courtyard because Zhou Tian's attitude had taken a 180-degree turn after Black Wolf defeated Wang Jian and Qin Xuan. His attitude was so good that it was like a grandson meeting his grandfather, causing Zhou Hao to feel uncomfortable. May I know the reason why Senior Black Wolf is looking for me? Looking at the courtyard in front of him, Zhou Tian had just received a summons from Black Wolf. As for what it was, Black Wolf did not mention and only asked him to wait outside the courtyard. Without Black Wolf's summons, Zhou Tian did not dare to enter the courtyard casually. In the courtyard, Zhou Hao stood obediently at the side, staring blankly at the 2 young men who looked exactly the same. 2 brothers of Black Wolf? It was hard to believe, but more than that, it was hard to believe. Brother Zhou, this is an avatar that I condensed. It looks exactly like me, but it doesn't have any spiritual consciousness. Brother Black Wolf, the aura of your avatar seems to be stronger than yours. Longao nodded. He could not figure it out as well. Under normal circumstances, once his cultivation base broke through to the ultimate god realm, his reincarnation avatar would also break through to the ultimate god realm. The 2 of them complemented each other. There would not be a situation where his cultivation base broke through to the ultimate god realm while his reincarnation avatar's cultivation base was 1 level higher than his. But what was the result? The reincarnation doppelganger had only been separated for less than a month, and it had already broken through to Emperor God realm, surpassing him. Even Longao did not know the reason behind it. However, Longao was sure of one thing. That was that the cultivation of the reincarnation avatar had broken through to the Emperor God realm. To him, it was a perfect thing because once the reincarnation avatar had broken through and used the silent divine bow, who below the Nirvana realm would be a match for the reincarnation avatar. Hundreds of level 4 supreme divine beasts and corpse slaves? Longao was a little dumbfounded. He never expected his reincarnation avatar to kill hundreds of level 4 supreme divine beasts in less than a month. Not only that, but there were also tens of thousands of supreme divine beasts, hundreds of thousands of divine beasts, and great emperor divine beasts. Long Fu was also considered smart. He did not refine the lower-level divine souls first. Instead, he refined the level 4 supreme divine beasts and other supreme divine beasts. With the continuous recovery of the Dragon Seal, Long Fu's refining speed of corpse slaves and soul slaves also became faster and faster. According to Long Fu's refining division, half of the divine beast's divine souls would be refined into divine beast corpse slaves, and the other half would be refined into divine beast soul slaves. Soul slaves could not leave the Dragon Seal space. If they left for too long, they would be killed by the heavens and earth and disappear from the world. As for corpse slaves, they could leave the Dragon Seal space. Because of this, Longao was prepared to leave 2 divine beast corpse slaves for the Zhou clan. However, it seemed that 2 level 4 supreme divine beast corpse slaves were not enough. After all, the Zhou clan wanted to dominate Blackwater City and not a small town. After he left, he must ensure the Zhou clan's overlord position in Blackwater City. Chapter 1523. Brother Zhou, ask your father to come in. Zhou Hao nodded. Zhou Hao had already guessed why Brother Black Wolf was looking for his father this time. 2 Class 4 Supreme Divine Beasts. Although Zhou Hao was still in disbelief, he knew very well that Brother He Lang was definitely not lying to him. He would be lying if he said he was not excited. Father, Black Wolf asked you to come in. Okay. They didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest, because this opportunity was like a carp leaping over the dragon gate for the Zhou family. They could not miss this opportunity. Following his son, Zhou Tian quickly entered the courtyard. Looking at the young man in front of him, Zhou Tian did not put on any airs. Although he was the patriarch of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tian knew himself well. Since Black Wolf could defeat 2 emperor gods, There was no doubt that this person's identity was not simple. Senior Black Wolf, why are you looking for me? In the Tianwu continent, the strong were respected. Although Longao looked young, his strength was not to be underestimated. The gap between a mortal god and a hierarch was huge. It was an insurmountable gap. Longao smiled. Uncle Zhou, you're too polite. Zhou Hao and I are brothers. If you don't mind, you can call me by my name, Black Wolf. Zhou Tian was delighted. Zhou Tian could not be happier because Black Wolf's intention was very simple. He wanted to get closer to Zhou Tian. Since that's the case, I'll do as you say. Nephew Hei Lang, are you looking for me this time because of the 2 Class 4 Supreme Divine Beasts? Without the slightest hesitation, Zhou Tian spoke the truth. He really wanted 2 Class 4 Supreme Divine Beasts. The Zhou clan was at the bottom of all the clans in Blackwater City. Be it the Zhou clan or the other clans, other than the Wang clan and the Qin clan, none of them had an emperor god. That was the case. Once the Zhou clan had an emperor god, not only would they be able to get rid of the bottom, they could even become a super clan in Blackwater City. With the destruction of the Wang clan and the Qin clan, the Zhou clan might be able to dominate Blackwater City. That's right. As expected, Uncle Zhou, I will leave Blackwater City in a while. But before I leave, I will help you deal with the Wang family and the Qin family. I believe that with a level 4 divine beast in the Zhou family, dominating Blackwater City shouldn't be a problem. No problem. No problem at all. If this was still a problem, the Zhou family could commit mass suicide. By doing this, Black Wolf was giving the Zhou family a huge advantage. Gentlemen, I don't have any Class 4 divine beasts. Upon hearing Black Wolf's words, both Zhou Hao and Zhou Tian were dumbfounded. Was Black Wolf toying with the 2 of them? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The 2 of them didn't say anything because they didn't know what to say in this situation. To be honest, I've killed the divine beast and refined it into a corpse slave. When the time comes, I'll have 10 4th class supreme divine beast corpse slaves guard the Zhou clan. If there's anything, just say the word. That was a concept. Zhou Tian was pleasantly surprised. He had never imagined that Hei Lang would not only leave behind 2 Class 4 Supreme Divine Beasts for the Zhou clan, but also 10 Class 4 Supreme Divine Beasts. What kind of concept was that? Thank you, Black Wolf. With 10 4th Class Supreme Divine Beasts in the Zhou clan, Zhou Tian was confident that as long as the Wang family and the Qin family were destroyed, the Zhou clan could dominate Blackwater City. He seemed to be in a hurry. Black Wolf, when are we going to deal with the Wang family and the Qin family? Anytime, but I won't do it myself. The 10 corpse slaves are enough to sweep the Blackwater City. All right, I won't trouble you. I'll settle it. Longao didn't hesitate. He picked 10 4th class Supreme Divine Beast corpse slaves in the Dragon Seal space and ordered them to guard the Zhou clan and listen to Zhou Tian's orders. Zhou Tian happily left with the 10 Divine Beast corpse slaves and began to make arrangements to dominate Blackwater City. He was confident and didn't have any worries. The next day, early morning, before Qin Xuan and Wang Jian could make a move, the Zhou clan had already made a move. This time, Zhou Tian led the team personally. He didn't summon 10 corpse slaves, but only 4. That was enough to shock the entire Blackwater City. One had to know. There were only 2 emperor gods in Blackwater City. One was the Wang family's patriarch, Wang Jian, and the other was the Qin family's patriarch, Qin Xuan. As for Zhou Tian, he summoned 4 emperor god-level supreme divine beasts. Not only that, Zhou Tian didn't destroy them one by one. Instead, he started a war with the 2 clans. Zhou Tian was very clear that the top priority was to kill the 2 patriarchs. The 4 divine beast corpse slaves chased after Wang Jian and Qin Xuan in a frenzy. In an instant, the situation in Blackwater City changed drastically. Everyone had already guessed that Zhou Tian's sudden strength and his possession of 4 4th-level divine beasts must have something to do with Black Wolf. Everyone was discussing and envious. They didn't know what kind of luck the Zhou clan had to be able to get the help of such a super expert. Qin Xuan and Wang Jian were extremely depressed. They didn't expect that Zhou Tian, who had always been a yes-man, would suddenly attack them. Not only that, Zhou Tian also brought 4 divine beasts with him. In a situation of 1 against 2, Neither Qin Xuan nor Wang Jian had the slightest confidence to win. Not only that, but after the short battle, the two of them were shocked to find that no matter how they attacked the divine beasts, they couldn't kill them. If that was the case, wouldn't they lose without a doubt? On a mountain peak not too far away from Blackwater City, there was no one around. Ordinary people who approached the mountain peak would be swallowed by the airflow and disappear without a trace. Qin Xuan and Wang Jian were killed along the way. They had no choice but to come to the mountain peak and seek an audience with the mysterious lord of Blackwater City. In the entire Blackwater City, only two people knew about the mysterious lord. No one else knew about this. Actually, the two of them had always had a secret in their hearts. The biggest reason why the Wang clan and the Qin clan could dominate Blackwater City was because of the help of this mysterious lord. Otherwise, the situation of Blackwater City would probably still be unknown. Please help us, Lord. The two of them knelt down on the ground immediately, their faces filled with panic. The four supreme divine beasts of the other party were almost immortal. Under the continuous pursuit, the two of them were lucky that their strength wasn't too bad. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made it here. Why are the two of you running so fast? As long as you're willing to swear a blood oath to never step into Blackwater City for the rest of your life, I will spare your lives. Chapter 1524. Just as he finished speaking, Longao, Zhou Tian, and Zhou Hao's figures appeared instantly. The four divine beast corpse slaves stared coldly at the two of them, each of them emitting cold killing intent. Killing intent filled the air. Looking at the three people and four beasts in front of them, both Wang Jian and Qin Xuan's faces were extremely gloomy and ugly. The reason why the Zhou clan could be like this was all because of Black Wolf. What was the origin of Black Wolf? Until now, Wang Jian and Qin Xuan still didn't know the identity of the enemy who was going against them. Zhou Tian, do you know the consequences of your actions? Consequences? Since things had already reached this stage, Zhou Tian no longer had any scruples. After killing the two of them and destroying the Wang and Qin clans, the Zhou clan would become the overlord of Blackwater City in the future, an absolute overlord. If you cut the grass without removing the roots, it would grow again. Kill them. With a command, the four divine beast corpse slaves swarmed forward. 4-2. Just when Zhou Tian was full of confidence and successfully killed the two of them, an aura suddenly descended from the heavens and enveloped the four divine beast corpse slaves. Heaven and Earth Domain? Longao's voice was extremely solemn when he sensed the heaven and Earth Domain that suddenly enveloped him. Zhou Hao might not know what the heaven and Earth Domain meant, but Zhou Tian, as a man-god and the patriarch of the Zhou clan, naturally knew what it meant. The heaven and Earth Domain was a powerful force possessed by a Nirvana realm cultivator that was above a supreme divine realm. The Nirvana realm was divided into 5 major Nirvana realms, comprehending the heaven and earth, unity of heaven and man, cycle multiplication, Nirvana realm, and rebirth. Comprehending the heaven and earth meant possessing the aura of the heaven and earth. When one's cultivation reached unity of heaven and man, the aura of the heaven and earth would evolve into a heaven and earth domain. Such a domain was not something a supreme divine realm could compare to. Cycle multiplication. The heaven and earth domain formed a cycle in the body, reaching a state of endless growth. The Nirvana Fate Tribulation was much more dangerous than the Thunder Tribulation. Once a Nirvana Fate Tribulation was successfully passed, then the Nirvana Fate Tribulation would be considered a success. When a Nirvana Fate Tribulation cultivator reached this realm, they would be considered to be standing at the top of the martial arts world. Breaking through from the Nirvana stage to the rebirth stage was simply an insurmountable threshold. Countless Nirvana stage martial artists were stuck at this stage, unable to take another step forward. Once one's cultivation broke through to the rebirth realm, it would be as though one had been reborn. At that time, the martial artist could be considered to have truly stepped into the peak of martial arts. As long as one could devour the power of origin or reproduce the power of origin, one could truly rise to the peak of martial arts. Heaven and Earth Domain. There were only 2 possibilities for the Heaven and Earth Domain to suddenly descend. One possibility was that the other party was at the unity of heaven and man stage, which was the second level of Nirvana stage. The other possibility was that the other party was at the heavenly cycle multiplication realm, which was the third level of the nirvana realm. No matter what realm the other party was in, he was not an existence that they could contend against. Longao? When the figure that suddenly descended saw Longao, he was shocked. Shirpatian. Longao had never expected that the Nirvana realm warrior who had suddenly arrived was none other than the young master of the Wansho sect, Shirpatian. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Shirpatian. Longao. The two of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Not only Shirpatian, but even Longao was somewhat unable to react. Master? Longao had seen the two of them kneeling on the ground and shouting for Master to save them. Could it be that the master they were talking about was the so-called Shirpatian? Shirpatian, long time no see. How have you been? Longao, I'm very happy to see you here. The two of them knew each other? Wang Jin and Qin Chuan saw that Black Wolf actually knew Master. The two of them were extremely shocked. After all, they were very clear about Master's strength. The Nirvana realm was the peak existence in the Tianwu continent. Black Wolf, knowing Master, had already explained Black Wolf's identity. On the other side, Zhou Hao and Zhou Tian were also a little dumbfounded. The two of them had never thought that Big Brother Black Wolf would actually know a Nirvana realm warrior. The two of them were guessing. What was Big Brother Black Wolf's identity? Longao? At first, the two of them didn't react. No matter what, as the enmity between Longao and the three superpowers continued to escalate, Longao's name could be said to have shaken the entire Tianwu continent. Blackwater City was also no exception. In the next moment, whether it was Wang Jin and Qin Chuan, or Zhou Hao and Zhou Tian, they all knew who this Longao was. However, they didn't know who Shirpatian was, because Longao was even more famous than Shirpatian. However, this time we're in big trouble. After hearing He Lang's true identity, Zhou Tian was extremely depressed. If it was before, Zhou Tian would have been extremely excited to receive Longao's help. After all, he had almost killed the two patriarchs because of Longao's help. Zhou family was only one step away from becoming the overlord of Blackwater City. However, after knowing Longao's true identity, his excitement turned into worry. Zhou Tian had naturally heard of the enmity between Longao and the three superpowers. If he had any relationship with Longao, wouldn't he have offended the three superpowers? The three superpowers were all like a tripod. Any one of them could easily destroy the Zhou family. Zhou Tian had never thought that he would go for wool and come home shorn. This time, the Zhou family was in big trouble. If they were careless, the Zhou family would be doomed eternally. Of course, Zhou Hao knew what his father was talking about. However, his expression was extremely firm as he said, "Father, no matter who Big Brother Black Wolf is, or what superpowers he has enmity with, he will always be my big brother. Even if I die, I will not hesitate. No matter what happens, I will stand by his side." Zhou Tian looked at his son beside him and sighed deeply. He knew his son's character very well. Once he had decided on something, he would not change his mind. Otherwise, Howard would not have persisted for 10 years. Could an ordinary person persist for 10 years? It was almost impossible. Longao, there is no enmity between us. If it wasn't for the sect, we wouldn't have become enemies. What do you think? In the past, Shirpatian did not put Longao in his eyes. In his eyes, Longao was just an ant. At most, Longao was an ant with good talent. But now, especially after the battle with Wansho sect, Sword sect, and Dragon Valley, Shirpatian had already placed Longao in a very high position. However, due to the deterrence of the divine mathematician, Shirpatian did not dare to casually make a move. If he was found out by the divine mathematician, the consequences would be unimaginable. He would die without a doubt. It was also because of this that Shirpatian did not make a move when he saw Longao. Chapter 1525. The godly diviner was the #1 person in the martial heaven continent. Especially the godly diviner's Tao of divination. It was unparalleled. There was no chance of luck. It was better to be safe than sorry. If the godly diviner managed to divine this matter, wouldn't he be causing trouble for himself? That was precisely the reason. Longao wasn't afraid, but he was also worried for the Zhou family. Now that the situation was right in front of him, Shirpatian knew about his relationship with the Zhou clan. If nothing unexpected happened, Shirpatian would definitely deal with the Zhou clan. With the Zhou family's strength, how could they resist Shirpatian? Longao, 1,000 years ago, the 10 Directions Cauldron Treaty stated that no disciple was allowed to enter Blackwater City without permission, including my Myriad Beast sect. However, Blackwater City already belongs to the Myriad Beast sect, and Wang Jin and Qin Chuan are my people. Aren't you not putting me in your eyes by doing this? Are you not putting the Myriad Beast sect in your eyes? Myriad Beast sect? Hearing that Shirpatian was from the Myriad Beast sect, both Wang Jin and Qin Chuan were pleasantly surprised. They had never imagined that Shirpotian's origin would be so powerful. The Myriad Beast sect was one of the 10 Directions Cauldrons, the peak existence of the martial heaven continent. The two of them wanted to laugh wildly. With the support of the Myriad Beast sect, who would dare to provoke the Wang and Qin families in the future? Although the 10 Directions Cauldron Treaty didn't allow anyone to enter Blackwater City, if the Myriad Beast sect insisted on taking over Blackwater City, would the other 9 superpowers offend the Myriad Beast sect for such a small city? That was almost impossible. Zhou Tian was already scared to the extreme, but when he heard that Shirpatian was from the Wan Shou sect, Zhou Tian almost fainted from fright. So what if Shirpatian had 10 4th-level divine beasts? The Wan Shou sect could easily wipe out the Zhou clan with a flick of their finger, leaving no chance for the Zhou clan. The Zhou family was truly unlucky. They had provoked the Black Wolf for no reason, and now they didn't even have the chance to regret it. It's none of my business. Shirpatian, the Zhou clan is my friend. I want the Blackwater City. You better leave with the Wang clan and the Qin clan. Otherwise, I'll kill every single one of them I see. Arrogant. Wang Jin, Qin Chuan, Zhou Tian, and Zhou Hao were all dumbfounded seeing that Longao didn't put Shirpatian and the Myriad Beast sect in his eyes. No matter what, Shirpatian was still a Nirvana realm expert, not to mention the Myriad Beast sect, just Shirpatian. How could Long be able to contend against him? The difference between the Supreme Divine Tao realm and the Rebirth realm was too great. It was like one was in the heavens and the other was on the ground. The two of them were simply not existences of the same level. If a Rebirth realm martial artist wanted to annihilate a Supreme Divine Tao realm martial artist, it was simply as easy as flipping one's hand, and it could be done in a matter of minutes. Wang Jin and Qin Chuan didn't dare to say anything, because they were already very clear on one thing. Just how big was the gap between them and Longao? They were on completely different levels. Longao didn't even put a Nirvana realm expert like Shirpatian in his eyes, so how could he put them in his eyes? Shirpotian's face was very gloomy. If it weren't for the divine mathematician's deterrence, Longao would have dared to humiliate him like this. He would have already attacked him, but the divine mathematician's deterrence was not to be underestimated. Once he attacked, not only his father, but also the entire Myriad Beast sect would be implicated. 1 year, he still needed to wait for 1 year. According to the agreement, after 1 year, the Myriad Beast sect could attack Longao with all their strength. He didn't believe that even if Longao was extremely talented, it was impossible for him to break through to the Nirvana realm in such a short period of time. Shirpatian was very confident in his own strength. After all, he was a Nirvana realm expert. Moreover, he had successfully reached the unity of heaven and man realm. As long as Longao's cultivation level didn't reach the Nirvana realm, then Longao could only dream of defeating him. Ha ha ha, Longao, I will give you face from now on. There is no Wang clan or Qin clan in Blackwater City. The Zhou clan is the overlord of Blackwater City? Sir. Shirpatian waved his hand and didn't say anything. But the two of them didn't dare to say anything more. Thank you. Longao didn't want to say anything more. He turned around and gave the two of them a meaningful glance. Then the three of them didn't continue to hesitate. They quickly left one by one. In a short time, the three of them had disappeared without a trace. Looking at the gradually disappearing silhouettes, Wang Jin and Qin Chuan looked at each other. They really couldn't understand. Why did Sir put Longao aside and even gave Blackwater City to the Zhou clan? It was Sir's own humiliation. How could the two of them not understand Shirpotian's retreat? In the Battle of the Sword Sect, Longao had fought against 3 superpowers. Just as Longao had been about to be killed by the three superpowers, the god diviner had suddenly appeared in the sword sect. The martial heaven continent's #1 expert had suddenly descended. No one had expected the god diviner to favor Longao and set a 1-year agreement. For a year, the three superpowers were not allowed to attack Longao, or they would incur the god diviner's wrath. It would be a lie to say they weren't afraid. After all, the god diviner's status and power were there for all to see. Let alone the three superpowers, even the 10 Directions cauldrons wouldn't dare to provoke him. This was the dignity of a peak expert. No one dared to offend him. However, the two of them couldn't understand. Even with the god diviner's deterrence, as long as they didn't leak it, even if they killed Longao, no one would know. As if he could guess what the two of them were thinking, Sherpatian said, "I trust you already know about the sword sect." When the god diviner arrived in the sword sect, he sided with Longao and set a 1-year agreement. If I attacked at that time and was found out by the god diviner, not only me, but the entire sect would be implicated. That was a risk I couldn't take. So that was how it was. Thinking about it now, the two of them understood. After all, the god diviner's Tao of divination was unparalleled. It was better to be safe than sorry. If the god diviner found out about this, the Myriad Beast sect and Sherpatian would be in huge trouble. Just now, the two of them had been a bit reluctant, but now they had decided to immediately move their families out of Blackwater City. If they gave up their position as overlord of Blackwater City now, it was unknown who would inherit it in the future. The two of them weren't fools. On the contrary, they were old foxes. Retreating now would give them an opportunity in the future. The Myriad Beast sect's strength was obvious. As long as the two of them climbed up this big tree, it would only be a matter of time before the carp leaped over the dragon gate. "We understand. Don't worry, as long as you help me, Longao, in the future, not only Blackwater City, Zhou family and Qin family will have a bigger stage waiting for you." These were the words they had been waiting for. The two of them were pleasantly surprised, but they didn't show it on their faces. They said in unison, "Sir, we will immediately return to Blackwater City and move our clans out of Blackwater City. What should we do next? There is a nameless town not far from Blackwater City. You two stay there first. Later, we will discuss how to deal with Longao." "Yes, sir." Since things had come to this, the two of them didn't hesitate and immediately returned to Blackwater City. Inside Blackwater City, Wang family and Qin family simultaneously announced to the entire Blackwater City that from now on, no matter if it was Wang family or Qin family, they would all withdraw from Blackwater City. Although the two families didn't say it explicitly, everyone in Blackwater City knew that there was only one reason for their sudden withdrawal, and that was the sudden rise of Zhou family. The Wang clan and the Qin clan were very fast. In just a few hours, the two clans had completely evacuated. From now on, not a single disciple of the Wang clan or the Qin clan could be seen in Blackwater City. This speed shocked everyone. It seemed that the two clans had admitted defeat. Everyone sighed at the sudden rise of the Zhou clan. In the beginning, Zhou family was at the bottom of all the families in Blackwater City. However, in just a few days, Zhou family suddenly rose up. And the rise of Zhou family was only because of one person, a mysterious person who suddenly appeared in Blackwater City, Black Wolf. Wang family and Qin family didn't mention Black Wolf's true identity. It was also because of this that no one in Blackwater City knew about Black Wolf's true identity. Otherwise, once Longao's identity was exposed, it would definitely cause a commotion in Blackwater City. As the Wang clan and Qin clan withdrew from Blackwater City, the overlord was no longer the Wang clan and Qin clan, but the Zhou clan that had suddenly risen. No one in Blackwater City dared to oppose this result. No matter what, the Zhou clan's strength was there for all to see. Even the Wang clan and Qin clan did not dare to provoke the Zhou clan, let alone others. But what was the result? After Wang family and Qin family left Blackwater City, Zhou family didn't become the overlord of Blackwater City as expected. They bided their time, and no one knew what Zhou family's intentions were. In Zhou family's backyard, around a stone table, Longao, Zhou Tian and Zhou Hao were sitting together. "Big brother Longao, what should we do now?" Zhou Hao was very worried about Longao's safety. After all, He was a Nirvana realm cultivator and had the support of the Wanshou sect. Could Big Brother Longao defeat the Wanshou sect? As for Zhou Tian, although he didn't show anything on the surface, in his heart, he was extremely scared. He didn't care about Zhou family becoming the overlord of Blackwater City. Zhou Tian was only worried about one thing. What would happen to Zhou family in the future? Now that they had provoked the Wanshou sect, as long as Longao was killed, Zhou family would also be destroyed. The Wanshou sect and Shirpatian were like a huge mountain in front of Zhou family. As long as the Wanshou sect and Shirpatian moved their fingers, they could easily destroy Zhou family. At that time, Zhou family wouldn't even have the chance to resist. Longao coldly looked at Zhou Tian in front of him. How could he not know what Zhou Tian was thinking in his heart? How could he help such a person? Longao was also a little unhappy. If he hadn't helped Zhou family, his identity wouldn't have been exposed. Now that Shirpatian had discovered his tracks, he was afraid that he would be in big trouble. Chapter 1526. Are you worried, Patriarch Zhou? Uncle Zhou had become the patriarch of the Zhou family. Zhou Tian was a cunning old fox. How could he not sense the displeasure in Longao's words? Zhou Tian's heart skipped a beat. They had already offended two big families and the Wanshou sect. If they offended Longao too, they would have no way out. They had to leave a way out. At this moment, it was a gamble. But Zhou Tian was not confident in this gamble. After all, the Wanshou sect was powerful. Between the Wanshou sect and Longao, no one would hesitate to choose the Wanshou sect over Longao. No. Longao took a deep look at Zhou Tian in front of him. The words that were about to come out of his mouth were forcefully swallowed back down. It was late at night. In the entire courtyard, only Longao was left, quietly looking at the void around him. Zhou Tian and Zhou Hao were gone. Longao was thinking about the Wanshou sect and Shirpatian. If Zhou Hao was not here, the Zhou family's survival would have nothing to do with him. Longao was confident that if he wanted to leave, not to mention Shirpatian, even if the entire Wanshou sect came, they would not be able to stop him. Longao knew that Shirpatian did not do anything to him. It was not because Shirpatian was afraid of him, but because he was afraid of the clairvoyant. With the clairvoyant's deterrence, no one dared to go against him. It would not be easy for Shirpatian to destroy the small Zhou family. The Zhou family. In the main hall, Zhou Tian's face was extremely gloomy. He had never thought that things would come to this point. There was no way out. If he was not careful, the Zhou family would be doomed. Patriarch Zhou. Sure. Zhou Tian looked at the young man who suddenly appeared in front of him. He was frightened. He had never thought that Shirpatian would come at this time. He smiled. Shirpatian walked to the side and sat down. He slowly said, Patriarch Zhou, let's get straight to the point. I only have one purpose for coming here. If you help me kill Longao, from now on, the Zhou clan will not only be the overlord of Blackwater City, I can also promise you that the Zhou clan will become a subordinate force of the Wanshou sect. Temptation. It was a blatant temptation. Would Zhou Tian be able to resist such temptation? Especially in this kind of situation, the Zhou clan was almost doomed. As long as they agreed to Shirpotian's request, not only would the Zhou clan not be destroyed, they would even rise up. Opportunity. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. On one side was the Wanshou sect, on the other side was Longao. Zhou Tian didn't even need to think about it. He would definitely choose the Wanshou sect over Longao. Even if Longao was an unkillable cockroach that had risen up in the martial heaven continent in just a few years, compared to the Wanshou sect, it was like trying to beat an egg against a rock. Sir, I believe you should be very clear about Longao's situation. If we are unable to hit him with a single blow and let him escape, I'm afraid that our Zhou family will be the first to bear the brunt of it. He sneered in his heart. Shirpatian wasn't worried at all that Zhou Tian wouldn't agree. No matter what, the Wanshou sect's prestige was there. Unless Zhou Tian's brain was damaged or kicked by a donkey, Zhou Tian wouldn't refuse him. Patriarch Zhou, I believe you already know about the enmity between the Wanshou sect and Longao. If it weren't for the sudden appearance of the godly diviner and the Longao, I believe that Longao would have already died. Speaking of this, Shirpatian didn't show the slightest shame. Zhou Tian also didn't dare to say anything. In the Battle of the Sword Sect, the three superpowers hadn't been able to deal with Longao. This matter had already spread throughout the martial heaven continent. At first, the godly diviner hadn't appeared, so the three superpowers had lost all their face. But even so, in Zhou Tian's view, Longao still couldn't compare to the Wanshou sect. The two of them weren't even on the same level. One was the heavens and the other was the earth. They couldn't be compared. Zhou Tian felt very helpless inside. Since things had already reached this point, even if he didn't believe it, he could only agree. Otherwise, as long as Shirpatian acted, the Zhou clan would definitely be destroyed. The godly diviner's deterrence was only to prevent the Wanshou sect from attacking Longao. Within a year, there was no restriction on them attacking the Zhou clan. Lord, what should we do now? It's very simple. We can't let the godly diviner know about this. Zhou Tian nodded in agreement. Everyone in the martial heaven continent knew about the sword sect's agreement with the godly diviner. From now on, I will place a 10,000 beast chi barrier around your Zhou clan. Give me 3 days and Longao won't be able to escape. That's not a problem. No matter what happens, I will keep Longao under control for 3 days. Good. As soon as he finished speaking, Shirpotian's figure suddenly disappeared. A Nirvana Realm martial artist was indeed a Nirvana Realm martial artist. Just his speed alone was enough to show disdain for the world. Not to mention he was the young master of the Wanshou sect. Zhou Tian already knew Shirpotian's true identity and was shocked, so he agreed without the slightest hesitation. Looking at the empty hall, Zhou Tian suddenly laughed and muttered to himself, Longao, you can't blame me for this. I have to protect the Zhou clan. As the patriarch of the Zhou clan, Zhou Tian's first thought was the safety of the Zhou clan. However, in Zhou Tian's view, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he could take advantage of this opportunity to climb up this big tree, then no matter if it was him or the Zhou clan, they would be like carps leaping over the dragon gate. Longao didn't know about Shirpatian and Zhou Tian's shamelessness. Although he knew that Zhou Tian would be afraid of them, from the beginning to the end, Longao never thought that Zhou Tian would betray him. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. Longao didn't continue to think about it. No matter when, without strength, there was nothing. After the last incident, his cultivation had smoothly broken through to the hierarch realm. As long as he worked hard, he believed that he would soon reach the peak hierarch realm. Above the hierarch realm was the God Emperor realm. He was only one step away from the peak enlightenment realm. There were still 11 months until the 1-year agreement with the 3 superpowers. Longao was very confident in his talent. Within 11 months, he would definitely be able to break through to the God Emperor realm. As for whether he could reach the peak martial path, it was still unknown. Once his cultivation broke through to the Nirvana realm, even if it was the first stage of the Nirvana realm, he would be able to at least protect himself no matter where he went in the Tianwu continent. In addition to cultivation, Longao had also put in a lot of effort in the reincarnation Heavenly Eye. He had personally witnessed the power of his reincarnation Heavenly Eye. Not only that, but it could also be upgraded continuously. Chapter 1527. In a nameless town not far from Blackwater City. The Wang and Qin families had moved out of Blackwater City and into the nameless town. Not only that, the Wang and Qin families had joined hands to change the nameless town to Blackwater Town. Whether it was the Wang or Qin family, everyone was very depressed. They had lost a lot of face. In Blackwater City, the two families had dominated Blackwater City for so many years, and such a thing had never happened. But now, because of a small Zhou family, the two families had to leave. Where was their face? Wang Jian and Qin Chuan were not in Blackwater Town, but on the peak of a huge mountain. Brother Qin, 3 days have passed. How is the 10,000 beast chi barrier? The two of them did not have the slightest anger or unwillingness. Instead, they were pleasantly surprised, because they were very clear that after this matter, their families would soar. Swoosh! Shirpotian's figure suddenly appeared. Sir. Looking at Shirpatian in front of them, the two of them bowed respectfully. Nirvana Realm warriors, the peak existence in Sky Martial Continent, especially Sure Potion's status. Everything is done. At dusk, we will take action. The two of them were happy. You look at me, I look at you. Since Sure Potion said that there was no problem, then this time Longao would definitely die. Sir, the two of us want to ask you for a favor. What is it? Sure Potion's face did not show any expression, but he was very unhappy. Because for so long, no one dared to talk to him like this, not to mention two small god emperor realm warriors, who were like ants. The two of them did not know. Qin Chuan smiled and said, Sir, after killing Longao, we want to take something from Longao. We hope that you can help us. Qin Chuan had just finished speaking when Wang Jian said, Our Wang family and Qin Chuan will follow you to death. We will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. No problem. The two of them were happy again. Okay, it's getting late. Let's go. The two of them did not know what Sure Potion was thinking. Following Sure Potion, the three of them streaked across the sky. In the blink of an eye, the three of them had disappeared without a trace. Black Water City. Zhou family. The day gradually faded away, and dusk slowly descended. For some reason, the streets of Blackwater City were unusually quiet. Ordinary people didn't dare to casually come out. It was like the calm before the storm. Big Brother Longao, what's wrong? Looking at the solemn expression on Big Brother Longao's face, Zhou Hao was very curious. He didn't know what had happened to Big Brother Longao. Could it be that Big Brother Longao is worried about the Wanshou sect? Looking at Zhou Hao in front of him, Longao thought for a moment and finally said, Zhou Hao, let me ask you now. If your father betrays me, what should I do? Huh. Zhou Hao was a little dumbfounded. He didn't know what Big Brother Longao meant. Big Brother Longao, I don't quite understand what you mean. If I'm not mistaken, your father has already joined forces with Sure Potion. I believe they will make their move tomorrow at the latest. Impossible. This is completely impossible. Zhou Hao didn't believe it at all. His father would join forces with Sure Potion to deal with Big Brother Longao? But Zhou Hao wasn't a fool. If Longao was like this, then it must be true. Big Brother Longao wouldn't be so bored as to wrongly accuse his father. Big Brother Longao, if this is true, then no matter what you do, I won't have the slightest objection. No matter what I do, he felt a little helpless. If it was someone else who dared to betray him, Longao wouldn't have the slightest mercy. But Zhou Tian was still Zhou Hao's father. If he killed Zhou Tian, how could he explain it to Zhou Hao? Zhou Hao had always saved his life, and after helping him during this period of time, he really appreciated Zhou Hao. Perseverance, 10 whole years of perseverance. His dedication to the martial path wasn't something an ordinary person could do. It's coming, Big Brother Long, waving his hand. Longao sneered and said, What will come will come. Zhou Hao, wait for me. I will forcibly open the space, and you can leave immediately. Remember, don't come back. Zhou Hao didn't say anything, but he had already made up his mind. No matter what happened, no matter what difficulties he faced, he wouldn't leave alone. If he was going to live or die, he would die together. Not long after, the door was pushed open. Sure Potion, Wang Jin, Qin Chuan, Zhou Tian, and more than 30 experts of the three great families all arrived. They all coldly looked at the young man in front of them. You still want to take the risk after all. Sure Potion smiled and said coldly, Longao, the Thousand Beast Chi shield has already been set up here, and Sure Potion didn't finish his words. He smiled and said, Longao, the marvelous diviner won't be able to predict today's events, so even if you die, no one will know. But I can give you a chance. As long as you destroy your own cultivation, I will not only spare your life, but also bring you back to the sect. How about it? What a joke. This was the biggest joke in the world. Longao cursed in his heart because he knew Sure Potion's character very well. If it wasn't for the previous incident, Sure Potion might have become friends with him. However, the current situation between the two of them had reached the point where it was either you die or I die. Even if he was willing to make concessions, he was afraid that Sure Potion would not. Longao was almost certain that even if he destroyed his own cultivation, there wouldn't be a good result. Sure Potion, do you think you can keep me here? Hearing this, Sure Potion's face became serious, because if it was someone else, he would have full confidence that he could deal with that person. His heart thumped. Zhou Tian could tell that Shirpatian wasn't happy. It would be a lie if he said that he didn't want to part with his son. Zhou Tian loved his son the most, especially as Zhou Hao's strength increased rapidly. If there were no accidents, Zhou Tian believed that Hao would definitely reach the supreme level of divinity in the future. Zhou Hao was the future hope of the Zhou family. However, between his son and the Wan Shou sect, Zhou Tian would not hesitate to choose the Wan Shou sect over his son. In Zhou Tian's opinion, even if he had to sacrifice his son, he could not afford to offend the Wan Shou sect. At this point, there was no turning back. "Don't worry, Lord. I know what to do." Waving his hand, 6 people shot out from behind Zhou Tian. They were the 6 supreme Tao warriors of the Zhou family. They were also 6 elders, 2 divine focus warriors, and 4 void god warriors. Such a lineup could be said to be very powerful. As everyone knew, even if Zhou Hao had Longao's help, his cultivation had only broken through to the supreme Tao realm. It was unknown whether he could avoid the lightning tribulation. After all, if Zhou Hao had undergone the lightning tribulation, it was impossible for no one in Blackwater City to know. Because of this, everyone could almost say that the current Zhou Hao was at most in the lightning tribulation supreme Tao realm. He hadn't even reached the void god realm. Taking a step back, even if Zhou Hao's cultivation had really reached the void god realm, the Zhou family would send out 6 supreme Tao warriors at once. Unless Zhou Hao's strength could reach the human god realm, otherwise, Zhou Hao wouldn't be able to resist the combined might of the 6. Of course, the 6 of them knew what to do. No matter what, Zhou Hao was still the son of the patriarch. As long as they could take him down, they would think about it later. Longao didn't make a move. Zhou Hao, who was behind him, had already rushed out. Before the 6 of them arrived, they had already released their powerful divine territories. Under the layers of superposition, one could imagine the power. However, Zhou Hao wasn't afraid at all. He also released his powerful divine territory. However, the power of the 2 divine territories couldn't be compared. The Void God Divine Territory and the Focus God Divine Territory were nothing compared to the divine territory released by Zhou Hao. Because of this, the 6 of them were shocked when they felt the divine territory released by Zhou Hao. There was only one reason why Zhou Hao could release the divine territory. It meant that Zhou Hao's cultivation wasn't in the Lightning Tribulation Supreme Tao realm or the Void God realm. He was in the genuine divine realm. Under the suppression of the divine realm, Zhou Hao only used one move to defeat the 6 of them. Like a kite with a broken string, the 6 of them flew out. If Zhou Hao didn't show mercy, the 6 of them would have died. In the end, Zhou Hao still couldn't forget that he was a member of the Zhou clan. Otherwise, the 6 of them wouldn't have just flown out. They would have died. Divine Realm. Zhou Tian was shocked to the extreme when he sensed the divine realm released by his son. If that was the case, it would be a piece of cake for his son to break through to the supreme divine realm. What method did Longao use to raise his son from a trash to the heavenly god realm? If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. It was unbelievable. Ha ha ha. A puny divine realm cultivator dares to be impudent here. Shirpatian just sat there without moving. Suddenly, a terrifying divine territory was released from his body, directly covering Zhou Hao. With Shirpotian's strength, if he wanted to, he could kill Zhou Hao at any time. Seeing his son being covered by the divine territory, Zhou Tian was helpless. In this situation, he didn't dare to move. If he angered Shirpatian, not only his son, but even he himself wouldn't be able to escape death. Shirpatian, if you dare to attack, as long as I can leave this place alive, I can guarantee that from now on, I won't do anything but assassinate your Wan Shou sect's disciples. Anyway, you can't attack me in a year. I don't believe that I can't take care of your Wan Shou sect in a year. A threat. A blatant threat. Not to mention ordinary people. Even the other 9 super forces wouldn't dare to threaten the Wan Shou sect. After all, the Wan Shou sect was powerful. Chapter 1529. Anger. Being threatened by Longao, Potion's face was extremely gloomy. He would be lying if he said he wasn't afraid. Not to mention in front of so many people. Where would he put his face? Longao's threat was 100% effective against Potion. Longao had calculated that Potion wouldn't dare to act rashly. After all, once he left, he would be able to assassinate the Wan Shou sect's disciples. Who in the Wan Shou sect would be able to withstand his assassination? Gamble. Whether it was Potion or Longao, this battle was actually a gamble. They wanted to see who was more daring. The air froze, and a battle was about to break out. The domain of heaven and earth around Zhou disappeared, and Longao let out a sigh of relief. If Potion didn't listen to his threat and killed Zhou, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. After all, Potion's strength was obvious. Potion smiled. Congratulations, your threat was successful. Potion, why don't we get straight to the point? All right. Even though Master God Diviner sided with you during the battle at the Sword Sect and set up the so-called one-year agreement, and even though my Myriad Beasts sect can't attack you for a year, Longao, if you try to assassinate a disciple of my Myriad Beasts sect, even if Master God Diviner finds out about it, do you think you'll be able to escape? He wasn't worried at all. In the one-year agreement, the clairvoyant master clearly stated that only Longao had to deal with the three super forces, and the three super forces couldn't do anything to Longao. This was clearly favoritism. Longao knew this, and so did Potion. Longao, I won't touch your Dragon Valley, and you won't touch my Wan Shou sect. Let's settle the grudge between us today without involving our families. What do you think? In the end, Potion chose to compromise. As for Longao, he had never thought of dealing with the three super forces. Longao knew very well that even with the clairvoyant master's protection and deterrence, he couldn't push the three super forces too hard. Otherwise, if they were cornered, who knew what they would do? He had no choice but to agree. I agree. Just as Longao finished speaking, a terrifying aura of the mythological beast rose up and instantly shrouded the entire courtyard. Since Zhou had already betrayed him, Longao naturally would not continue to help the Zhou family. Not killing Zhou was already giving Zhou face. As for the 10 god beast corpse slaves that were given to the Zhou family, they were all summoned back by Longao. Longao's entire body dashed out. One-on-one, he fought against Potion. As for the rest of the people, other than Zhou, Longao did not plan to leave anyone behind. Not a single one of them was left alive. Even if it were Wang Jian and Qin Xuan, they would still be able to kill 10 level 4 Supreme Divine Beast Corpse slaves. It was precisely because of this that Potion, who was in the middle of the battle, began to be careful everywhere because Longao was too unpredictable. It was difficult to make up for the difference in cultivation level with other things. Longao knew this better than anyone else. If he could break through to the enlightenment of heaven and earth realm, he would have a higher chance of winning against Potion. Therefore, he would lose without a doubt. Let's go. Longao did not continue to stay. However, Potion used some kind of secret technique to freeze the surrounding space and compress the Myriad Beast Chi shield, making it difficult for Longao to move. Pong, pong, pong. Brother Longao, thank you for your help. Zhou laughed. His entire body began to explode. With a bang, blood mist filled the sky. He forcibly compressed the space and opened a hole. Self-explosion. In the end, Zhou chose to self-explode. Other than knowing that he would definitely die, he also wanted to help Longao leave this place. Chapter 1530. Potion, I'll make you regret this. Zhou chose to self-destruct, and the blood mist forcibly broke through the space. Longao, who had already been compressed by space, took advantage of this opportunity to use spatial teleportation. His body instantly disappeared from his original spot. Potion's face was extremely gloomy as he looked at the space that had returned to normal. Longao managed to escape. Potion never thought that Zhou's self-destruction would be so powerful that it could shatter the space. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would not have believed it. It would be unrealistic to say that he was not worried. Longao's strength and variables were obvious. There was only one thing that Shirpatian was most worried about, and that was Longao's assassination. If it was an open battle, the Wansho sect would not take Longao seriously at all. After all, Longao was only in the ultimate god realm. What they were afraid of was Longao's assassination. Apart from Nirvana realm warriors, how many people in the sect could withstand Longao's assassination? Regarding Longao's talent, Shirpatian was also truly endlessly fearful. That was the real reason why Shirpatian chose to take the risk. It had only been a few months since the battle in the Sword Sect, but Longao's cultivation had improved greatly. At this rate, Longao's cultivation would most likely break through to the Nirvana realm in a year. The Wansho sect would not take ordinary Nirvana realm warriors seriously. Except for Longao. Longao was only in the Supreme Tao realm, and he was already so unpredictable. If he broke through to the Nirvana realm, even the sect would not be able to do anything to Longao. Therefore, no matter what happened, Longao must die, even if he had the oracle's favor. 2 days later, in the main hall of the Wansho sect, the Wansho sect ancestor, Shirchong, Shirfeng, and Shirpatian sat around. The three of them already knew what happened between Shirpatian and Longao, and their faces were very gloomy. Patian, you were too reckless this time. Ancestor, Longao's talent is too shocking. I haven't seen him for a few months, and he has already reached the ultimate god realm. If we don't kill him as soon as possible, I'm afraid we'll be at a disadvantage in the 1-year agreement. The myriad beast's ancestor's expression grew even more solemn. How could the myriad beast's ancestor not know what Patian meant? If Longao was not killed, he would become a huge threat to the Wansho sect. Patriarch, if Master God Diviner finds out about this, we'll be in big trouble. Even though Shirpatian was a little reckless, Shirchong and the other two didn't blame him at all. Shirpatian was the #1 genius of the martial heaven continent. Although he wasn't ranked on the earth ranking or heaven ranking, his talent and power were all there. Even if Shirpatian did something wrong, no one would blame him. He thought for a moment. Before the myriad beast's old ancestor could say anything, the faces of the four changed. Master Clairvoyant. The four of them stood up at the same time and bowed respectfully. Master God Diviner was the #1 genius of the martial heaven continent. His power was above the heavenly Das. Let alone the four of them. Even the heavenly Das would have to be courteous to him. This was Master God Diviner. Not only was he powerful, but his Tao of divination was also unparalleled. Master God Diviner had suddenly come to the sect. Could it be that he already knew about what had happened in Blackwater City? If that was the case, they would be in big trouble. In the Battle of the Sword Sect, Master God Diviner had said that the 3 superpowers and Longao had agreed to meet in a year. Within that year, the 3 superpowers couldn't deal with Longao. It was easy to imagine what would happen to those who disobeyed. With Master God Diviner's power, destroying the Myriad Beast sect was something he could do in a matter of minutes. Shirpatian, do you admit to what happened in Blackwater City? As expected, although the 4 of them had guessed it, hearing Master God Diviner say it himself made their hearts skip a beat. Now that things had reached this point, Shirpatian had no intention of hiding it. After all, since Master God Diviner had personally come, there was no doubt that he had divined this matter. Even if he wanted to hide it, it would be impossible. Master God Diviner, this matter has nothing to do with the Myriad Beast sect. It was my own wish. Longao and I are like fire and water. He was the one who trespassed on my territory, so I had to do something. If you want to blame someone, just blame me. Before Master God Diviner could say anything, Shirpatian continued, Master God Diviner, I trust that you won't implicate the Myriad Beast sect in this matter, right? Master God Diviner smiled. His face was full of praise. You're not bad. Starting now, within a year, no matter who the Myriad Beast sect is, as long as they try to deal with Longao, I will exterminate the entire Myriad Beast sect. No one will be left alive. Hearing Master God Diviner's words, the 4 of them breathed a sigh of relief. They were very clear that since Master God Diviner had said so, he wouldn't pursue the matter of Blackwater City. Master God Diviner, starting now, our myriad beasts sect won't make a move against Longao. However, Master God Diviner, there is something I have to say. Even if our myriad beasts sect doesn't make a move against Longao, do we have to endure it? I have already said that as long as Longao doesn't step into the myriad beasts sect, you won't make a move. During the Battle of the Sword Sect, the three of you joined forces to deal with Longao alone. You have already lost. The Battle of the Sword Sect had caused the three super forces to lose face. Although no one dared to mention it due to the three super forces' strength and face, but as Master God Diviner had said, the three super forces had already lost the Battle of the Sword Sect. Not giving the four a chance to speak, Master God Diviner said, "This matter has already come to this. I don't want to see it happen again." As soon as he finished speaking, Master God Diviner's figure disappeared. The four looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. Ancestor, Longao was lucky to escape from the Battle of Blackwater City. If nothing unexpected happens, Longao will definitely make a move against our Myriad Beast sect. With Master God Diviner's restriction, as long as Longao doesn't enter our Myriad Beast sect, we can't make a move. In this case, we will be in a very passive position. How could the Myriad Beast's ancestor not understand Shi Chang's worries? He thought for a moment. In the end, the Myriad Beast's ancestor sighed helplessly and said, "We can't afford to provoke Master God Diviner. His Tao of divination is unparalleled in the world. I believe you have already seen what happened in Blackwater City." Ancestor, then what should we do now? Pass down my order. From now on, no one above the divine realm is allowed to leave the sect without permission for a year. Those who violate this order will be killed without mercy. Hearing this, the three of them looked helpless. Since things had already reached this point, even if they were filled with endless helplessness and unwillingness, they had no choice. Longao was also very curious about Heimo's identity, especially when he entered the dark space. He didn't know why the black demon let him go. Until now, he still didn't know why. Could it be that the black demon was being kind? 10,000 years ago, the black demon was invincible in the continent. Even Master God Diviner was no match for the black demon. Longao already knew about this. According to Xiling, the black demon was too powerful. Other than Master God Diviner himself, no one was a match for him. Even Tian Dao would have been killed if Master God Diviner hadn't suddenly appeared in the battle against the black demon. One could only imagine how powerful the Heimo was. Back then, I didn't hesitate to harm myself to seal the black demon in the draconic arcane realm. I also relied on the royal dragon chi of the entire Dragon Valley to suppress the black demon. However, 3 years later, I'll release the black demon. Why? He was shocked. Longao couldn't understand why Master God Diviner would suddenly break the seal and release the black demon. Master God Diviner had already said that he didn't hesitate to harm himself to seal the black demon. Since that was the case, could it be that Master God Diviner had lost his mind and was causing trouble for him for no reason? As if he could see what Longao was thinking, Master God Diviner helplessly said, "The weak space." Longao instantly guessed what Master God Diviner was saying. The black demon's power was obvious. 3 years later, the weak space would be destroyed, destroying the martial heaven continent. If he could obtain the black demon's help, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It seems you've guessed it. Longao nodded. After all, if he still couldn't guess what Master God Diviner was saying, he would be a bit retarded. Longao, 3 years later, if the black demon helps me repair the weak space and I'm unable to seal the black demon, I hope you can inherit my legacy and seal it. So it was for this. Perhaps no one would be able to resist such a temptation. After all, Master God Diviner was the #1 expert of the martial heaven continent. Unless his head had been kicked by a donkey, he wouldn't be able to resist. Longao didn't want to inherit Master God Diviner's legacy. If that was the case, he would have been able to inherit it countless times. Each time, he wouldn't want it because he wanted to walk his own path. However, in this situation, Longao didn't agree, nor did he object. Instead, he asked, Senior God Diviner, could it be that the weak space really can't be repaired in 3 years? There's a 50% chance. If we have the Black Demon's help, that chance will increase to 90%. So we have to take this risk. If that was the case, then Longao was very clear that this risk was worth taking, and he had to take it. After all, nothing could happen to the Tianwu continent. Everyone was responsible for the safety of the continent. Even if it was Longao, as long as he had the strength, he would not hesitate to repair the weak space. How do you feel? Longao's expression began to change. It took 10 minutes for him to recover. Shocked, Longao asked in surprise, "What's going on?" Longao could clearly sense that in just a few minutes, his cultivation base had gone from the God Realm to the peak of the God Realm. This kind of cultivation speed shocked even him. It was a bit too fast. Just what was going on? Longao was almost certain that the reason he had been able to break through to the peak of the God Realm in such a short time was because of Master God Diviner's help. Otherwise, there was no way he could have broken through at this time. Longao just couldn't figure out how Master God Diviner had helped him. Furthermore, he hadn't felt anything at all. As if he could see the doubt in Longao's heart, the divine mathematician said with a smile, "The wine you drank just now was refined by me from Ignore's supreme treasure. You drank a total of 3 cups. Being able to advance by 1 level is not bad." So that's how it was. Longao laughed and sighed. If 3 cups could allow him to reach the peak of the God Realm, then what if he drank 30 cups, or even 300 cups? Wouldn't his cultivation base directly reach the Nirvana realm? Chapter 1532. Drinking too much won't do you any good. Before Longao could speak, the clairvoyant continued, "This is all I can help you with." Longao wanted to say something, but since the clairvoyant had already said so, he didn't have the nerve to say anything. Even so, Longao was already satisfied. In just a few minutes, he had successfully broken through to the peak ultimate God realm. It was like a pie falling from the sky. Although Longao was very confident in his cultivation talent, he roughly calculated that it would take him at least 3 months to break through to the peak ultimate God realm. The peak ultimate God realm was only 1 step away from the Emperor God realm. Even the Nirvana realm was only 1 step away. Longao, Senior, please tell me what you need. From now on, no matter what happens to you, I will not appear. Remember, don't act rashly. Understood. It didn't matter whether the clairvoyant master appeared or not. Longao was very clear that the grievances between him and the 3 superforces had to be resolved eventually. The clairvoyant master did not speak, and so did Longao. Half an hour later, Longao finally calmed down. Even after leaving the 9th heaven, he did not immediately enter the Wanshou sect to seek revenge. According to the clairvoyant master, as long as he did not enter the Wanshou sect, the Wanshou sect would not attack him. If that was the case, there was no need for him to take the risk. Assassination. Even if it was an open assassination, it would be fine as long as he did not enter the Wanshou sect. Longao was full of confidence. As long as he did not meet a Nirvana realm cultivator, he could even kill an Emperor God realm cultivator. Just like that, Longao stood guard outside the Wanshou sect, waiting for the people of the Wanshou sect to appear. If 1 came out, he would kill 1. If 2 came out, he would kill 2. For 3 whole days, not a single Supreme Tao cultivator from the Wanshou sect appeared. Longao was not a fool. He had already guessed that the Wanshou sect must have taken precautions. If there was no accident, the Wanshou sect's Supreme Tao cultivators would not appear. If that was the case, what was the point of him continuing to stay here? Wasting time. 9 states continent. Dragon Valley. Ever since the battle at the Sword Sect and the Oracle's 1-year-long agreement, the 3 superpowers had ceased all activity. None of them dared to make a move against the Dragon Valley. After all, the Oracle's threat was still there. However, the disciples of the Dragon Valley had been killed for no reason. No one knew who the culprit was. Longao immediately gave the order to summon all the Dragon Sect disciples outside and shut them in. Purple Thunder Sect, Black Heaven Sect. How could the 3 transcendent powers be willing to let Longao off? Although they couldn't casually make a move against Longao due to the threat of the Divine Diviner, the Violet Thunder Sect and Heavenly Mystic Sect weren't within this restriction. Now that the Purple Thunder Ancestor had appeared, the Purple Thunder Sect could no longer continue to deal with the Dragon Valley. However, Yi Warren had joined forces with the Black Heaven Sect to secretly kill the disciples of the Dragon Valley. In just a few days, he had killed hundreds of disciples of the Dragon Valley. If this continued, even if the Dragon Valley had tens of thousands of disciples, they would not be able to assassinate all of them. Within the Dragon Valley, Longao sat quietly in the pavilion, his face unusually cold. This was because Longao had never imagined that other than the three transcendent powers, who else would want to deal with the Dragon Valley? With Longao's current reputation, unless there was water in the brain. Who could it be? Father, I still can't contact Ao or... Long Yi's face was also solemn. In just a few days, over 100 disciples of the Dragon Valley had been killed. Moreover, there were core disciples of the Long family among them. The most speechless thing was that even now, they still didn't know who the culprit was. Whether it was Longao or Long Yi, the two of them were almost certain that the culprit couldn't be from the three transcendent powers. No matter what, the Divine Diviner's deterrence was still there. If the three transcendent powers were to make a move and the Divine Diviner found out, they would be in big trouble. This matter is very strange. If it's not the three transcendent powers, I'm afraid they can't get away with it. We have to find Ao as soon as possible. Otherwise, we'll be in a passive position. Longao nodded. Father, I'll try my best to contact Ao. However, the Tianwu continent is very far away from the Jiuzhou continent. It'll be difficult for news to spread. When Ao left, he said that if the sect encountered any unsolvable problems, as long as I crushed this crystal ball, he would know. After thinking for a moment, Long Yi asked curiously, Father, as long as we hide in the Dragon Valley, I believe that no matter who it is, they won't be able to break the seal. Even the combined efforts of over 20 Nirvana realm martial artists, including the Myriad Beast's ancestor, were unable to break the seal of the Dragon Valley. There was no doubt that on this continent, unless the Divine Diviner and the Heavenly Tao personally descended, no one else could break the seal of the Sword World. It was because of this that Long Yi couldn't understand why his father was so anxious to find Ao. Longao sighed deeply. This time, I'm in such a hurry to find Ao. Besides this, there's an even more important matter. What is it? Long Yi became even more curious. The ancestor wants to see Ao. The ancestor? Long Batian? In the entire Dragon Valley, apart from Longao, perhaps only Long Yi and Longao knew about the reincarnation of their old ancestor Long Batian. The thought of 7 reincarnations was frightening. Moreover, both of them were very clear that if their old ancestor succeeded in his 7th reincarnation, his strength would certainly reach the Supreme Divine Tao realm. If the ancestor wants to see Ao, could it be that the ancestor has successfully reincarnated? Longao seemed to be able to guess the doubts in Long Yi's heart. Before he could speak, Longao said, I don't know if the ancestor has successfully reincarnated, but 3 days ago, the ancestor's image suddenly appeared and told us to find Ao in the shortest time possible. It seems that the ancestor has something important to say. I see. Father, I'll continue to contact Ao now. Since the ancestor was looking for Ao, Long Yi didn't hesitate and left immediately. Inside the pavilion, Longao eyes grew deeper and deeper. Suddenly, he stood up and bowed respectfully, Ancestor. Outside the pavilion, a layer of light suddenly appeared, and Long Batian's figure appeared on it. Haosher, there's not much time left. My influence can't last much longer. When Ao returns, kick me and tell him about this. Yes, Ancestor. Please speak. Until now, Longao still did not know whether the old ancestor in front of him had successfully reincarnated. However, Longao was very clear in his heart that in the Dragon Sect, the old ancestor was the strongest after Ao. If the old ancestor could successfully reincarnate, it would be a great help to the sect. P.S. I went to the grave today, so I'm late. Sorry, I'll try to rush out a 3,000-word chapter later. Many people say that Little Nine doesn't update much now because he's too busy. Starting tomorrow, he'll update at least 5 chapters a day and try to update as early as possible. Chapter 1533. Swoosh. Longao caught it, and a black object appeared in his hand. It was a medallion. What did the patriarch mean by this? In 10 days, the astral purgatory will open. Tell Ao to take this medallion to the astral sea region and enter the astral purgatory. It'll be up to Ao's luck to see if he can obtain any opportunities there. As soon as he finished speaking, the image vanished without a trace. Martial Heaven Continent, outside the Myriad Beast Gate. Longao, who had been guarding the Myriad Beast Gate this entire time, immediately turned and shot in the direction of the 9 provinces continent. When he had left the Dragon Valley, he had left a crystal ball with his grandfather. The meaning was simple. If the Dragon Valley was in danger, his grandfather could crush the crystal ball. Then no matter where he was, he would be able to sense it. Longao was very clear in his heart that if it wasn't something important, he believed that his grandfather and father would definitely not crush the crystal ball. After all, his grandfather and father knew that he had something very important to do. Since that was the case, what exactly happened in the Dragon Valley that made his grandfather and father crush the crystal ball? Panicking, Longao rushed to the 9 provinces continent as quickly as possible. With Longao's speed, he should be able to reach the Dragon Valley in less than 2 days. However, things had already come to this, and Longao seemed to be in no hurry. He continuously used teleportation and even relied on the strength of Purple Spirit to increase his speed to the extreme. In this way, Longao had already smoothly returned to the Dragon Valley in about 12 hours. 9 provinces continent. Within the Dragon Valley, Longao quietly entered the Dragon Valley. With Longao's strength, no one knew about it. When Longao saw Longao, his face immediately lit up and said with a smile, Ao, seeing that you are fine, grandfather is relieved. Seeing that his grandfather was safe and sound and had a relaxed expression on his face, Longao was curious to the extreme. He did not know what had happened in the Dragon Valley. Why was his grandfather so anxious to summon him back? Grandpa, what happened? He couldn't crush the crystal ball until the last moment. Ao, it's like this. Sit down and listen to me slowly. Nodding, the two of them sat facing each other, and Longao began to talk about what had happened. There was no one around the pavilion, and aside from Long-E, no one else was allowed to come here. After listening, Longao had already guessed who the person who took action to assassinate the sect was. Grandfather, it's just as you said. This matter is definitely not done by the 3 superpowers. According to my guess, the ones who assassinated the disciples of our Dragon Valley should be the Black Sky sect and the Purple Thunder sect. He was a little shocked. With only a few days left, it was impossible for him to achieve anything. Since that was the case, he might as well go to the outer sea and see what the old ancestors' astral purgatory was. Longao's cultivation had already reached the peak ultimate god realm. Within a year, he would definitely be able to break through to the Emperor God realm. As for whether he could break through to the Nirvana realm, even Longao wasn't completely confident. Longao was almost certain that the astral purgatory that the old ancestor wanted him to go to was a training ground. That was why Longao chose to go to the astral purgatory without any hesitation. He hoped that he could break through to the Emperor God realm during this training. A year's time was neither long nor short, especially for a cultivator. A year's time passed in the blink of an eye. The Tianwu continent was divided into 5 major plates. They were the Eastern continent, the Western region, the Southern Sea, the Northern Plains, and the Middle Tianwu continent. Among the 5 major plates, the Middle Tianwu continent was undoubtedly the strongest because the 10 directional cauldrons were located in the Middle Tianwu continent. However, many people were very clear that the strongest of the 5 major plates wasn't the Middle Tianwu continent, but the Outer Sea. The Outer Sea, the Crystal Palace, where the divine mathematician lived. Although there were countless islands in the Outer Sea with countless experts, the real deterrent wasn't the countless islands, but the divine mathematician in the Crystal Palace. There were countless islands in the outer sea, and it was unknown just how many islands there were that he didn't know about. Among all the islands that he knew, the God Island was the most powerful. This was publicly acknowledged in the outer sea. Longao had met the God Dao once before. There were also 8 major islands, namely Sky Universe Island, Sunset Island, Rising Cloud Island, Azure Island, Dark Night Island, Passionless Island, Death Island, Star Moon Island, Extinguished Sun Island, and Lone Star Island. Longao already understood that even though the strength of the outer sea was very strong, there was only one true overlord, and that was the so-called Divine Island. As for the other islands, including the 8 major islands, they were all negligible. Longao had calculated that the Divine Island's power should be about the same as the 10 directional cauldrons. From that, it could be seen that the outer sea's power was inferior to the martial heaven continents. If the 10 directional cauldrons joined hands, not only would they be able to dominate the martial heaven continent, but they would also be able to dominate the outer sea's countless islands. Let alone ordinary islands, even the Divine Island wouldn't be able to resist them. Inside the token, there was a message left behind by the old ancestor. Longao had roughly determined the location of the Starry Sea region according to the token. It was the center of the entire outer sea, and the Starry Purgatory was at the bottom of the sea. There are still 3 days before the Starry Purgatory opens. At this time, I still can't get close to the Starry Sea region. Longao tried to get close to the Starry Sea region. As soon as he touched the Starry Sea region, he would be suppressed by a powerful aura. If it wasn't for the fact that his physical defense was already very strong, he believed that the current him would have been crushed into a meat patty. The Divine Island, inside the main hall. The Island Lord of the Divine Island, Yi Nantian, and the Great Elder, Yi Wuling, were looking at each other. Great Elder, after 3 days, the Starry Purgatory will open. This time, not only the Divine Island, but also the other 3 islands will take action. If we want to get that thing from the Starry Purgatory, I'm afraid it won't be an easy task. Nodding, Yi Wuling's face was a bit dignified. He said, only warriors under the Nirvana realm can enter the Starry Purgatory. When the Starry Purgatory opened, there were 5 keys. The Divine Island and the other 3 islands each got 1 key. However, the last one disappeared without a trace. After so many years, the Starry Purgatory has opened 4 times, but we haven't succeeded in getting that thing. This is the 5th time the Starry Purgatory will open. Great Elder, is there something fishy about this? Nodding, Yi Wuling thought for a while and said, Nantian, in the past, the 4 islands each got a token, and thus, we smoothly entered the Starry Purgatory 4 times. When we entered the Starry Purgatory for the first time, I saw a stone tablet with my own eyes. The information on it said that the Starry Purgatory can only be opened 5 times. After 5 times, the Starry Purgatory will be completely sealed. Even if we have the key, at that time, we can't open the Starry Purgatory. Yi Wuling's face changed. Yi Nantian thought for a while and said, Great Elder, we have entered the Starry Purgatory 4 times, but we still can't get that thing. I'm afraid. Waving his hand, Yi Wuling sneered and said, according to the legends, the Starry Purgatory is a space left by a warrior at the peak of the martial Tao. If we can get the inheritance of the Starry Purgatory, you and I will very likely inherit it, break through the Nirvana realm, and reach the peak of the martial Tao. The peak of the martial Tao was the realm that every warrior dreamed of reaching. Not only Yi Nantian, but also Yi Wuling. Nantian, this time, I have decided to send Yi Hua, Yi Chen, Yi Wan, Yi Yi, Yi Mei and Madman Yi into the Starry Purgatory. Chapter 1534. Great Elder, I have no problem with the other 5. As for Madman Yi, I have made up my mind. Without giving Yi Nantian a chance to refute, Yi Wuling's figure disappeared. Although Yi Nantian was the Island Lord, the one who could make the decisions was not Yi Nantian, but Yi Wuling. A sigh was heard. In the outer sea, the God Island was the absolute overlord, just like the 10 great cauldrons in the middle sky martial continent. Apart from the God Island, there were 3 other islands that could threaten the God Island. They were the Nirvana Island, the Illusion Island, and the Heavenly Demon Island. Just like the God Island had guessed, the 3 islands were going all out for the opening of the Star Purgatory. In the legends, in the Star Purgatory, there was the inheritance of the Peak Warriors. No matter who it was, anyone who got it could reach the peak of the martial path. The most depressing thing was that the Star Purgatory had some kind of restriction that prevented Nirvana Realm warriors from entering. 3 days before the opening of the Star Purgatory, the 4 islands gathered outside the Starsea region. Longao, who had never left, was surprised to see dozens of people suddenly appear, but he soon calmed down. Seems like these people are also here for the Star Purgatory. Seeing Yi Nantian and Yi Wuling, Longao confirmed their identities. The 4 islands in the Outer Sea, the Supreme Island in the Outer Sea, the God Island, and the other 3 islands, the Nirvana Island, the Illusion Island, and the Heavenly Demon Island. If Nirvana Realm warriors couldn't enter the Star Purgatory, Longao was relieved. Longao didn't know much about the Star Purgatory. Island Lord Yi, long time no see. How have you been? Longao and Yi Nantian had met once, and they didn't have a big grudge. Otherwise, Yi Nantian wouldn't have let it go when Longao left the Outer Sea. He seemed surprised. Yi Nantian wasn't a fool. Was it a coincidence to meet Longao here? Could it be that Longao also knew about the Purgatory of Stars? Yi Nantian smiled and said, Longao, I want to ask, why are you here? Astral Purgatory. Yi Nantian's and Yi Wuling's expressions instantly changed after hearing those words. Other than the upper echelons of the 4 islands, practically no one in the Outer Sea or even the entire Martial Heaven continent knew about the Purgatory of Stars. Longao, how do you know about the Astral Purgatory? The 2 of them had already released their killing intent. Since Longao already knew about the Astral Purgatory, he would definitely die. Apart from the 4 islands, no one else was allowed to enter the Astral Purgatory. He smiled. Longao directly took out the token from his bosom, which was the so-called key, and said, I accidentally obtained this token. Although I already know about the Purgatory of Stars, I still don't know much about the Purgatory of Stars. Looking at the key in Longao's hand, their hearts skipped a beat. Yi Wuling and Yi Nantian looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. There were a total of 5 keys to open the Star Purgatory. The 4 islands each had 1 key, and the 5th key had never been found. Longao, where did you obtain the token? Forgive me for not being able to tell you. How about we make a deal? Tell me. Yi Wuling and Yi Nantian didn't immediately attack because they didn't know how Longao obtained the token. Moreover, they also wanted to know what the deal was that Longao was talking about. Longao's spirit had already entered the token, so he knew some things about the Astral Purgatory. The Astral Purgatory had opened 4 times in total. This was the 5th time. No matter which time it opened, a token could allow 6 people to enter at the same time. 5 keys could allow 30 people to enter altogether. The 4 islands had arrived here at the same time. Longao was almost certain that the 4 islands each had a key, so each island could only allow 6 people to enter at most. Longao himself was only 1 person. In other words, the tokens that he possessed still had 5 slots. Island Lord Yi, I'm only 1 person entering the Astral Purgatory this time. I can give the remaining 5 tokens to the Mythical Island. As a deal, Island Lord Yi only needs to give me 1 thing. What thing? The 2 of them were naturally very excited to have 5 more tokens. The more people who entered the Astral Purgatory, the higher the chance of obtaining the inheritance. After all, in their opinion, even if Longao entered the Astral Purgatory, he wouldn't be able to make any big waves. Ancient Seal Script. Ancient Seal Script? Longao, how did you know that the Mythical Island has the Ancient Seal Script? Longao himself didn't know, but the command token had passed on to him. Before entering the Star Purgatory, he must obtain the Ancient Seal Text of the Mythical Island. Longao was very clear in his heart. Since the old ancestor had said so, it seemed that there must be a purpose. To be honest, my ancestor once obtained the Ancient Seal Script. My Long clan has always had an ancestral rule. No matter who it is, as long as they have the ability, they must take back the ancient seal script. Before the two of them could speak, Longao continued, the ancient seal script is useless to the mythical island. In exchange for 5 tokens to enter the astral purgatory, the mythical island won't lose anything. 5 tokens in exchange for an ancient seal script. Longao was very confident that as long as the two of them weren't fools, they would definitely agree. He sneered and suddenly said, Longao, if I kill you now and take the token, wouldn't it be better for the mythical island? Longao was very calm. He said indifferently, you can try. Since I dared to show myself, I'm not afraid of the mythical island. Although Longao was famous in the Tianwu continent and the Zhuozhou continent, he was only a powerful supreme expert in the external sea. Because no one in the external sea knew about Longao's past, the external sea never cared about the matters of the Tianwu continent. The calmer Longao appeared, the more uncertain the two of them were. After all, it was better to be safe than sorry. If they failed, they wouldn't even have 5 tokens. The ancient seal script was useless to the mythical island. If they could exchange it for 5 tokens to enter the astral purgatory, it wouldn't be a bad thing. After thinking about it, Yinantian nodded. He took out an iron sheet from his bosom and directly threw it out. This is the ancient seal script. Longao, I hope you will keep your promise. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. With a smile, Longao caught the ancient seal script. The old ancestor wanted him to get this thing before entering the astral purgatory. It seemed like it had something to do with the astral purgatory. However, Longao naturally wouldn't say anything. Originally, the mythical island could only send 6 people. Because of Longao's participation, the original 6 had directly increased to 11. They had 5 more people than the other 3 islands. In this way, the mythical island would have a great advantage. Chapter 1535. After successfully obtaining the ancient seal text, Longao heaved a sigh of relief. Island Lord Yi, I will appear in 3 days. As soon as he finished speaking, Longao turned and left. After a while, he disappeared without a trace. His face was very gloomy. Great Elder, Longao has an extraordinary background. Not only does he have the key, but he also knows the ancient seal text. It seems that he came prepared. Yi Wulian nodded. Yi Wulian thought for a while and said, the purgatory of stars is about to open. Let's not complicate things. When he leaves the purgatory of stars, kill him without mercy. Since things had come to this point, this was the only way. Longao did not leave the outer sea because there were less than 3 days left before the purgatory of stars opened. Outer sea. At the bottom of the sea, in the middle of a secluded coral. Longao looked at the ancient seal text in his hand and was very curious. He did not know why the ancestor gave him this iron sheet. Could it be related to the purgatory of stars? Longao, your ancestor Longbatian is not simple. Looking at Xiling who suddenly appeared, Longao asked curiously, Xiling, what do you mean? The purgatory of stars should be related to your ancestor. As for this ancient seal text, it is actually a powerful martial skill. Martial skill? The ancient seal text was a martial skill? Longao was very surprised. He never thought that the ancient seal text would be a powerful martial skill. If that was the case, did the ancestor want him to cultivate this martial skill? It was somewhat impossible. If the ancient seal text was a powerful martial skill, why didn't the mythical island get it after so many years? As if he could guess Longao's thoughts, Xiling said, Longao, the martial skill in the ancient seal text will naturally open after you enter the purgatory of stars. But I still want to remind you, don't casually trust anyone, even your ancestor. What did Xiling mean? Was there something fishy about the ancestor? Longao knew very well that Xiling wouldn't have said that for no reason unless something had happened. Xiling, how's Bai Ling? Until now, Bai Ling still hadn't woken up. Longao was very worried. After all, Bai Ling still hadn't woken up. It didn't mean that Bai Ling was fine. He shook his head. Xiling looked helpless as well. Even she didn't know what was going on with her sister. Helpless, Xiling said dejectedly, Bai Ling should be recovering. As for whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. However, There's one thing I'm sure of. Once my sister wakes up, she'll recover at least 2/3 of her strength. What was the point? Longao wanted Bai Ling to wake up. As for whether she could recover, that was a matter for the future. He wanted to, but he was powerless. Longao could only pray in his heart that Bai Ling would wake up as soon as possible. Longao, I'll keep an eye on Bai Ling for you. Your top priority now is to think about the Purgatory of Stars. Purgatory of Stars? Xiling, do you know a lot about the Purgatory of Stars? He nodded. Xiling suddenly said, the Purgatory of Stars was left behind by an expert who had reached the peak of martial arts. Your ancestor wanted you to enter the Purgatory of Stars so that you could inherit his legacy and break through to the peak of martial arts as soon as possible. After hearing Xiling's words, Longao became more and more confused. He was a little confused. Xiling, according to what you said, my ancestor wanted me to inherit his legacy and break through to the peak of martial arts. Then he must have done it for my own good. Xiling, you don't have to do this with me. If you have something to say, just say it. Longao's intuition told him that this matter was definitely not that simple, just as he expected. Longao, this matter is a little troublesome. I can't explain it clearly in such a short time. Just as you thought, the Purgatory of Stars will be of great help to you. I just want you to be careful of Longbatian. Longao could clearly sense that Xiling had not finished speaking. What exactly was it? Xiling didn't want to say more, and Longao didn't continue to ask. Just as Xiling said, since the Purgatory of Stars was of great help to him, then he could talk about it later. He had to deal with the Purgatory of Stars first. Longao, I just sensed your token. The Purgatory of Stars is very big, but you have to remember, after entering the Purgatory of Stars, immediately go to the center of the Purgatory of Stars, because the inheritance of the expert who had reached the peak of martial arts is in the center. Thank you. Xiling didn't continue speaking. He turned around and turned into a purple light, entering the Dragon Seal space. Longao also entered the Dragon Seal space and came to Bai Ling's side. Looking at Bai Ling in front of him, his heart was filled with guilt. As long as Bai Ling didn't wake up, Longao couldn't forgive himself. Bai Ling, don't worry. No matter what happens, Brother Long will wake you up and help you recover to your peak state. Until now, Longao still didn't know the strength of Xiling and Bai Ling at their peak. After all, even at the peak of martial arts, there were differences in strength. For example, the difference in strength between the divine mathematician and Tian Dao was huge. Master, Long Fu, what's the matter? Long Fu's expression changed again and again. After thinking for a while, he finally said, Master, once you enter the Purgatory of Stars and obtain the inheritance, are you going to accept it or reject it? Not knowing what Long Fu meant, Longao asked back, just say it. Master, I believe you already know about the reproduction of the origin energy. Back then, you chose to expel the origin energy in order to reproduce it yourself. If you enter the Purgatory of Stars this time, I hope that Master won't accept the peak of martial arts inheritance. For Master's future cultivation, it's best to reproduce the origin energy yourself. So that's how it was. Long Fu continued, if Master inherits the peak of martial arts inheritance, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to break through more realms in the future. Once you reproduce the origin energy yourself and break through the peak of martial arts realm, it will be greatly beneficial to your future cultivation. Longao was already aware of what Xiling had said. Otherwise, he would have given up the origin source energy that he had risked his life to obtain back then for nothing. However, the peak of martial arts inheritance was different from the origin energy. This was because the origin energy could only be devoured after breaking through to the Nirvana realm. The peak of martial arts inheritance didn't need to. Long Fu, no matter when, I will reproduce the origin energy myself. You can rest assured about this. However, there is one thing that I don't understand. I hope you can answer me truthfully. This time, it was Long Fu's turn to be curious. He said, Master, please ask. As long as Long Fu knows something, I will tell you everything. Longao could clearly feel the change in Long Fu, especially after Long Fu chose him and not Long Tian. the change became even greater. He had successfully broken through to the ultimate God realm and was not far from the Nirvana realm. In Longao's opinion, it was time for him to know everything. In the Nirvana realm, there were differences in strength. Longfu, is the pinnacle of martial arts a general term for realms? I would like to ask about the specific division of the peak of martial arts. He wasn't surprised at all. Long Fu seemed to have guessed it and said in a depressed tone, "Master, it doesn't seem appropriate for you to ask this question at this time. Not suitable? Not suitable again." Every time he heard Long Fu say this, Long Ao felt a deep sense of helplessness. "Long Fu, I know what you mean. You are worried that with my cultivation, knowing too much will have a great impact on my cultivation." Long Fu didn't say anything, but his meaning was very clear. "Long Fu, I have been unable to let go of the matter of the peak of martial arts. At this time, I should know about it. Don't worry, even if I know about it, it won't affect my cultivation." He nodded. Since things had come to this point, Long Fu could only nod helplessly. "Master, as you have guessed, the peak of martial arts is just a general term." Sure enough, it seemed that his guess was correct. The peak of martial arts was just a general term for a realm. The peak of martial arts is also known as the Starry Sky Realm. The Starry Sky Realm? At this moment, Long Ao finally knew that the so-called peak of martial arts was the Starry Sky Realm. It seemed that many people didn't know about it. If Long Fu hadn't told him, it would have been extremely difficult for him to find out. Long Ao still didn't say anything and listened quietly. "Long Fu, you go first. I will tell Long Ao about the Starry Sky Realm." "Okay." Long Fu turned and left. Xiling asked seriously, "Long Ao, do you really want to know about the Starry Sky Realm?" Seeing Long Ao nod, Xiling continued, "You have to think about it carefully. Once you know about it, your state of mind will definitely change. Do you want to know about this kind of thing that is not worth the loss?" I am determined to get it. If he didn't ask, he didn't know that Long Ao could still control himself. However, Long Fu had already told him half of the story. If he chose to give up now, would Long Ao agree? In that case, I will tell you the truth. Long Fu just said that the peak of martial arts is also known as the Starry Sky Realm. Once you break through the peak of martial arts, you will embark on the path of Starry Sky Cultivator. Starry Sky Cultivator? Long Ao, above the Nirvana realm is the Starry Sky Cultivator. Starry Sky Cultivators mainly cultivate the power of origin. Starry Sky Cultivators are divided into 9 realms, namely Level 1 Cultivator, Level 2 Cultivator, Level 3 Cultivator, Level 4 Cultivator, Level 5 Cultivator, Level 6 Cultivator, Level 7 Cultivator, Level 8 Cultivator, and Level 9 Cultivator. These 9 cultivation levels are collectively known as the Starry Sky Realm. Cultivators from Level 1 to Level 9 were collectively known as the Starry Sky Realm. Long Ao finally knew that the peak of martial arts above the Nirvana realm was the so-called Starry Sky Realm. Long Ao also realized that the peak of martial arts he had worked so hard to reach was not the end of martial arts. When could he reach the end of the 9 realms of Starry Sky Cultivators? Xiling, I want to ask, what are the levels of Tiandao and Oracle? I still don't know Oracle's cultivation level. As for Tiandao, according to what I sensed back then, Tiandao should be a Level 8 Starry Sky Cultivator. Level 8 Starry Sky Cultivator? Long Ao was very depressed. Tiandao's cultivation level was almost at the peak of Starry Sky Cultivators. Even if Wanshou Ancestor and the others swallowed the power of origin and broke through to the Starry Sky Realm, there was still a huge gap between their strength and Tiandao's. Long Ao, I believe you have already guessed that there are 9 realms of Starry Sky Cultivators. The difference of one realm is a huge gap in strength. Long Ao nodded. He almost understood this point. It was like the Great Emperor realm. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, white, and gold Great Emperor realm. The difference of each realm was huge. Chapter 1537. Not only that, divine mathematician's strength was obviously above Tian Dao. If that was the case, since Tian Dao was an 8th-level Starry Sky cultivator, then there was no doubt that divine mathematician was a 9th-level Starry Sky cultivator. A 9th-level Starry Sky cultivator was a true expert at the peak of martial Dao, and also the strongest at the peak of Starry Sky. Longao was very puzzled. Since Tian Dao's cultivation had broken through the 8th-level Starry Sky cultivator realm, why did he seal the origin power? According to Tian Dao's strength, in the entire Tianwu continent, except for divine mathematician, it was very difficult for anyone to surpass him. Tian Dao was still too cautious. It was better to be safe than sorry. If someone really broke through the 7th-level Starry Sky cultivator realm, or even the 8th-level Starry Sky cultivator realm, then they could completely pose a threat to Tian Dao. Tian Dao would never allow such an accident to happen. All of a sudden, a figure flashed in Longao's mind. It was the Black Demon sealed in the Draconic Mystic realm. According to legend, the Black Demon was invincible in the world. Even Tian Dao was no match for the Black Demon. In that case, the Black Demon's cultivation had reached the 9th-level Starry Sky cultivator realm. Longao, the path of martial Dao is endless. You are now only in the hierarch realm. The most important thing is to break through the Nirvana realm. As for the so-called Starry Sky realm, it is not something you need to think about now. He nodded. How could Longao not know what Xiling meant? As Xiling said, with his current strength, it was useless to think too much. After all, Starry Sky cultivators were too far away from him. I understand. Without continuing to dwell on the matter of Starry Sky cultivators, Longao prepared with all his strength. Because there were only 3 days left before the Star Purgatory opened. At that time, it was still unknown whether he could come out of the Star Purgatory alive. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. With the Star Purgatory opened, there was no aura restriction around the Star Sea region. In other words, at this time, no matter who it was, even Xiantian realm cultivators could easily step into the center of the Star Sea region, the so-called Star Purgatory. However, the 4 islands had sealed off the entire Star Sea region. No matter who it was, no one could enter without permission. There were 5 keys to the Star Purgatory. Each key could bring 6 people in. With 5 keys, a total of 30 people could enter. The 3 islands had a total of 18 people. Since Longao was alone, the mythical island had 11 people. The divine island didn't want to provoke any trouble. Therefore, this matter hadn't spread out. In other words, until now, the 3 big islands didn't know that the divine island had 5 more quotas. Longao, in the purgatory of stars, there are inheritances at the peak of martial arts. I believe you already know that. I will not inherit the legacy. Do you think I'll believe you? Longao smiled and immediately swore a blood oath. He seemed to be surprised, because he couldn't figure out why Longao chose to enter the astral purgatory. Why didn't he inherit the peak of martial arts? Did Longao lose his mind? Yunantian didn't doubt Longao's blood oath at all. The blood oath was the most terrifying oath in the world. No matter who it was, even if they were at the peak of martial arts, they would not dare to make a blood oath casually. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Since Longao had made a blood oath, Yunantian couldn't say anything more. Longao, since you won't inherit the legacy, I hope you can help the mythical island to obtain the peak of martial arts. What do you think? One more person's help was equivalent to 1 more power. Among the 30 people who entered the Star Purgatory this time, except for Longao, the other 29 people were all God Emperors. It seemed that the 4 big islands had put in a lot of effort for the peak of martial arts. Even the 4 big islands couldn't afford to lose so many God Emperors. However, in front of the peak of martial arts, not to mention 6 God Emperors, even Nirvana realm warriors could be lost easily. No problem. Longao didn't even think about it and agreed directly. Boom. There was a loud sound. The entire Star Sea domain suddenly began to tremble violently. Rumble. Rumble. The sound was deafening. The Star Purgatory has opened. Just as Yunantian finished his words, 30 figures shot out from all directions. Including Longao, all of them shot towards the center of the Star Sea domain, which was also the so-called Gate of Stars. Sure, sure, sure. In the blink of an eye, all 30 figures had disappeared into the Gate of Stars. 30 people? The island masters of the 3 big islands and the various elders were shocked beyond words. Under normal circumstances, the 4 big islands would have 4 keys. In other words, there would be a total of 24 people from the 4 big islands who could enter the star purgatory. If that was the case, what was up with the extra 6 people? Looking at the 6 extra people, 5 of whom were from the mythical island, the people from the other 3 islands had already seen them. Therefore, the people from the other 3 islands looked at Yi Nantian, Yi Wuling, and the others coldly. Their meaning was clear. Island Master Yi, how does the mythical island want to explain this matter? Everyone, to be honest, not long ago, a mysterious man came to me with a token. He said that as long as he could enter the star purgatory, he would give the mythical island 5 quotas. I believe everyone knows that 5 more people won't be of much help in finding the inheritance of the peak of martial arts. Bullshit. You motherf asterisk cur. Who would believe such nonsense? Of the 5 quotas, if your mythical island wants 2, we won't have any objections. At the very least, you should give us 1 each. You want to monopolize everything? All the Nirvana realm martial artists of the 3 major islands released their imposing aura. Even the God's Island was very afraid of them. However, under such circumstances, whether it was the 3 major islands or the God's Island, they couldn't casually take action. Humph. Yi Nantian, the mythical island is cheating. Even if you get the inheritance of the peak of martial arts, the 3 big islands won't accept it. After 1 month, no matter what, we will re-elect the mythical island. The 3 big islands didn't leave the Star Sea region because the star purgatory would last for at most 1 month. At that time, no matter whether the warriors who entered willingly or not, they would be automatically sent out. The inheritance of the peak of martial arts, no matter who it was, everyone wanted to get it. Because the inheritance of the peak of martial arts was the realm that every warrior dreamt of reaching. The 4 big islands didn't leave. They were waiting for the arrival of 1 month. In addition to wanting to see if their own disciples could get the inheritance of the peak of martial arts, more importantly, they wanted to see if the disciples of the other islands could get the inheritance of the peak of martial arts. If they didn't get it, then no matter which island it was, they would definitely kill the person who got the inheritance of the peak of martial arts. They would cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. P.S. The 4th chapter has been delivered. The last chapter will be updated after midnight. Xiaoju has been here for a while, but there are still too many troublesome things. However, the 5 chapters will be delivered every day. As if he could guess Longao's thoughts, Xiling said, Longao, I believe you have already guessed that the reason your ancestor allowed you to bring the ancient seal text into the purgatory of stars must be because of the inheritance of the peak of martial arts. Xiling, what should I do next? It's very simple. First, you only have to do one thing. You have to rely on the ancient seal text to comprehend the martial skills within the ancient seal text. If my guess is correct, the key to comprehending the peak martial arts inheritance is not the ancient seal text, but the martial skills within the ancient seal text. However, Longao's expression was very serious because he had been in the astral purgatory for a whole day and night. No matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't sense the martial skill in the ancient seal text. It's very difficult to comprehend the martial skill in the ancient seal text. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Longao, you and I both know that there is only one way to comprehend the ancient seal text in the astral purgatory. What is it? Longao couldn't wait. Longao had already decided that no matter when, no matter where, no matter what happened, he wouldn't choose to inherit the martial Dao Peak inheritance. He wouldn't choose to inherit the martial Dao Peak inheritance, but Longao didn't intend to give it up. The reason was very simple. Longao had already thought that if he could obtain the martial Dao Peak inheritance, even if he didn't inherit it, he could let his family members inherit it. In that case, someone in the Dragon Valley would become a starry sky cultivator. Because of this, no matter what happened in this trip to the astral purgatory, He had to obtain the martial Dao peak inheritance. Longao, the astral purgatory. As long as we can find the astral purgatory and retrieve the ancient seal text, I believe you will be able to comprehend the martial skill. Where is it? Follow me. Longao didn't hesitate at all. He followed Xilinx's aura and headed east at his fastest speed. The astral purgatory was surrounded by black fog, as if it was a volcano. It was surrounded by rocks, and there was a huge black boulder in the middle. There was a dent in the boulder. Longao only took a glance at it, and his face instantly lit up. The indentation on the boulder was in the shape of a sheet of metal. If that was the case, it would be just as Xiling had guessed. Only in this place would one be able to comprehend the ancient seal text's martial techniques. Longao, you have to be careful. Longao nodded. He took out the ancient seal text from his arms and gently placed it into the dent in the boulder. It was neither big nor small, neither fat nor thin, just right. The entire iron sheet was embedded. Before Longao could react, the boulder had already released a white light, enveloping Longao, and he disappeared on the spot. It was a strange space, surrounded by whiter currents. This battle was unavoidable. Even if he didn't take action, the mythical island's people wouldn't hesitate to take action. Lunatic Yi was furious to the extreme. He had already said those words, but Longao still took action without any hesitation. He didn't put him in his eyes at all. If he could endure this, where would his face go? Where would the mythical island's face go? Lunatic Yi and the others took action at the same time, all of them shooting towards Longao's direction. Under normal circumstances, if a hierarch warrior fought against a god emperor warrior, only death would await. Unless one had a great divine ability, it was almost impossible to counterattack. However, everyone already knew that Longao had a lot of secrets. Not only did he have his own divine ability, but his speed was also terrifyingly fast. Although they didn't want to admit it, the 9 people still didn't dare to gamble. After all, Yi Hua and Yi Wen's talent and strength were there for everyone to see. Even the mythical island couldn't afford to lose them. However, Lunatic Yi still underestimated Longao's strength. More importantly, he underestimated Longao's spatial teleportation. No matter how fast the 9 people were, they couldn't be faster than spatial teleportation. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I will pay them back double. Remember, from now on, you better not provoke me. Otherwise, I will kill whoever I see, regardless of whether they are men or women. Before the 9 people could react, they heard 5 words from his mouth. Time sure kill technique. Chapter 1540. Time rewind and time forward. Not only that, but Longao also used time prohibition. If they had been more careful, they might not have been hit. But from the beginning to the end, the two did not put Longao in their eyes. As the saying goes, carelessness kills. This time, in order to end the battle quickly, Longao did not use any martial skills. Instead, he directly used the silent destroyer divine bow. He directly pulled the bow. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 arrow lights instantly shot out. Destruction. Whether it was Yi Hua or Yi Wan, both of them were suppressed by the dragon roar and the time sure kill skill. They could not resist the silent destroyer divine bow's attack. Longao, I'm going to kill you. Looking at their own people being killed by Longao right under their noses, it was like being slapped hard in the face. This slap was especially loud. Trash. Longao turned and left. After a few spatial teleportations, his figure disappeared without a trace. Looking at the corpses on the ground and then looking at Longao who had disappeared, everyone was a little dumbfounded. Was Longao really a divine venerable warrior? No matter what happens, I'm going to cut you into pieces. Big brother, Longao is not simple. Not only does he have the divine ability to lock space, but his speed is also very fast. Before Yi could finish her words, Madman Yi waved his hand and said, You have seen Long Ao's strength. He only used his divine ability to kill 2 people. If we are careful, we can easily deal with Long Ao. After thinking for a while, Madman Yi continued, Long Ao killed my men. If we don't kill him, how can we explain it to the Divine Island? Things had already reached this point. Even if everyone was worried, they could only follow Madman Ye's words. After successfully killing 2 people, Long Ao did not waste any time and immediately handed the divine soul to Long Fu. Long Fu, if you use all your strength to refine it, how long would it take? Giving him a taste of his own medicine, Long Ao's intention was very simple. He wanted to refine Yuan and Yi Hua into his soul slaves, and then deal with Madman Yi and the others. One could completely imagine what kind of expression Madman Yi and the others would have if they were suddenly attacked by 2 soul servants. He thought for a moment. Long Fu didn't seem to be sure, but he knew what his master meant. Master, 2 hours. If you go all out, you'll be able to succeed in an hour at most. 1 hour later. All right, 1 hour. Long Ao had never imagined that Long Fu would be able to refine 2 souls into soul slaves in just an hour. Long Ao was prepared to head to the center of the astral purgatory to obtain the heart of the stars. However, after thinking about it, he decided to deal with the people of the mythical island first. Until now, Long Ao still didn't know what would happen if he headed to the center of the astral purgatory. If the people of the mythical island were to head to the center of the astral purgatory, wouldn't they be looking for trouble for him? Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Long Ao was very clear about one principle, and that was to be merciful to the enemy was to be cruel to oneself. Since then, Long Ao didn't immediately head to the center of the astral purgatory. Instead, he continued to follow the 9 people of the mythical island. Even if you beat Madman Yi and the others to death, they wouldn't believe that the person they were looking for was actually following them. If this matter were to be known by the 9 people, who knew what they would think? 1 hour later. Big brother, the astral purgatory is vast and boundless. It's almost impossible for us to find Long Ao's trace. If you have something to say, just say it. Thought about it and said, Big brother, our main purpose in entering the astral purgatory this time is not to kill Long Ao, but to find the inheritance of the peak of martial arts. I already understand what you mean. As you said, our purpose in entering the astral purgatory is to find the inheritance of the peak of martial arts. Long Ao, even if he can survive in the astral purgatory, once he leaves the astral purgatory, I will make him beg for death. In the end, Madman Yi still chose to give up looking for Long Ao, because the astral purgatory would only be open for 1 month. In just 1 month, once this opportunity was missed, the astral purgatory would be completely sealed. At that time, no matter who it was, even if the 5 of them were to gather, there would be no way to open the astral purgatory. In other words, this opportunity was the last one. No matter what happened, they couldn't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Madman Yi, long time no see. I trust you've been well since we last met. Long Ao could be considered to be rather shameless, because he had only separated from Madman Yi and the others for a short 1 hour, but he spoke as if it had been a long time. He even said, I hope you've been well since we last met. However, Madman Yi and the others didn't mind, because they looked at the young man that suddenly appeared in front of them and seemed to be slightly surprised. They never imagined that Long Ao, who had already left, would choose to return for no reason. Could it be that Long Ao really had something to rely on and wasn't afraid of the 9 of them? Madman Yi didn't believe in Long Ao's strength. After all, Long Ao's cultivation realm was right there. If he wanted to fight the 9 of them alone, unless Long Ao had an invincible ability, but the possibility of that was almost zero. Long Ao, you really don't know what's good for you. Do you think that you're already invincible? And the others looked at Long Ao in front of them. It would be a lie to say that they weren't afraid of him. No matter what, it was this young man who killed Yi Hua and Yuan, 2 god emperors, in one move just half an hour ago. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe that a hierarch could fight against 2 god emperors at the same time and kill them in one move. It was unbelievable, Unimaginable. Madman Yi, why don't you and I make a bet? You'll definitely die in this battle. The calmer Longao appeared, the more uncertain the 8 of them were. Even Madman Yi seemed to have begun to mutter, because he did not know what medicine Longao was selling in his gourd. If Longao was really pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, wouldn't the 9 of them capsize in the gutter and benefit the other 3 islands for nothing? Longao, since you're looking for death, I'll fulfill your wish. As soon as he finished speaking, Madman Ye's body directly rushed out. However, he went out quickly, but came back even faster. Not only Madman Yi, but even Yi Yi and the other 8 people were shocked. They looked at the 2 figures in front of them dumbfoundedly. Yi Hua? Yi Wan? Didn't the 2 of them just die? If that's the case, why did the 2 of them suddenly appear here? What the hell happened? The 9 of them were all god emperors. They instantly sensed that the 2 of them weren't their true bodies, but their divine souls. However, they didn't know how they managed to survive. P.S. The 3 chapters 10 today will be added tomorrow. There will be a total of 8 chapters tomorrow. Chapter 1541. Madman Yi knew that Yi Hua and Yi Wan were already dead, but seeing it with his own eyes, he was still shocked. They retreated. Kill them, big brother. They are no longer on our side. If they don't die, we will. Do you all want to die? Since things were already like this, Yi Yi and the others didn't hesitate and surrounded the 2. Either you die or I die. Yi Yi and the others were very clear that the 2's divine souls were already controlled by the other party. If they kept retreating, they would be the ones to suffer in the end. 8 against 2. Even if the 2's divine souls were strong, it was still impossible for them to fight 1 against 4. The result was obvious. Whether it was Yi Hua's corpse slave or Yi Wen's soul slave, in just a few seconds, the 2 soul slaves were destroyed. Longao, you've lost. I've lost? Looking at the 9 people in front of him, Longao had never seen such shameless people. Longao, today I'll let you experience the true strength of the God's Island. Madman Yi waved his hand, and the 8 people behind him rushed out. Each of them released cold-killing intent, layer by layer, and directly enveloped Longao. Level 4 Supreme Divine Domains, layer by layer, the power was obvious. If it was an ordinary hierarch warrior, how could he fight 1 against 8? He would probably be killed in a second. Only Longao, a monster with a lot of variables. A madman who didn't walk the normal path. Longao's Supreme Divine Domain couldn't be evaluated by normal standards. Even if the 8 Supreme Divine Domains released by the 8 Supreme Divine Emperors overlapped, they still couldn't suppress Longao. Instead, they were suppressed by Longao's Supreme Divine Domain. It would be a lie to say that they weren't shocked. Today, I'll let you all experience my strength. Longao didn't want to waste any more time. He wanted to end the battle quickly. Self-created martial technique, heaven and earthborn. With Longao as the center, the air around him started to spin crazily. Soon, a huge air vortex appeared around Longao. It looked strange and powerful. Before the 8 of them could react, they were already sucked into the vortex. Outside the vortex, Madman Yi was not sucked into the whirlpool. It was unknown if he was afraid, but Madman Yi did not enter the whirlpool to save the 8 people. His face became more and more gloomy, as ugly as it could get. The 8 of them did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. They stood back to back and vigilantly watched from 8 different directions. Longao, you don't have to play tricks in front of us. The 8 people said that they were not afraid, but in their hearts, they were fearful to the extreme. I really want to see how powerful you all are. As soon as he finished speaking, Longao and the reincarnation avatar appeared at the same time. Not only that, but the reincarnation avatar also had a broken bow in his hand. It was the so-called Nirvana Divine Bow. Now that things had come to this point, Longao naturally wouldn't let anyone off. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots to prevent future troubles. 2 Longaos? Seeing 2 identical Longaos appear in front of them at the same time, the 8 of them were dumbfounded and seemed to be in disbelief. Longao, Before the 8 of them could finish speaking, Longao had already started attacking them. However, it was not a close-range attack, but a long-range attack. In other words, it was an aura and soul attack. Longao's cultivation base had successfully broken through to the peak ultimate god realm. He could already ignore Emperor God martial artists. Otherwise, he would not have casually used a soul attack. In any case, once the soul attack backfired, the consequences would be unimaginable. The reincarnation avatar's strength was far above Longao's as he had successfully broken through to the Emperor God realm. Not to mention using the Nirvana Divine Bow, his strength alone was enough to fight against 8 people. After all, the reincarnation avatar was not only powerful, but also immortal. The 8 of them could not break through the reincarnation avatar's defense. However, Longao was still prepared to use the reincarnation avatar's strength in order to end the battle quickly. A few minutes later, the whirlpool disappeared and Longao's figure appeared. As for the reincarnation avatar, he had already disappeared. Longao, where are the 8 of them? Madman Yi asked because he did not want to accept the truth. There was only one possibility for the 8 of them to disappear, and that was that they had been killed by Longao. Although it was a little unbelievable, the truth was in front of him. Even if Madman Yi did not want to believe it, the truth was the truth. Longao sneered and threw the 8 corpses away. Looking at the 8 corpses on the ground, Madman Yi's face became gloomier. As the number 1 genius of the Divine Island, he had successfully broken through to the Emperor God realm before the age of 30. He was only one step away from the Nirvana realm. Such strength and talent was enough to show disdain for the entire external endless sea. However, at this moment, Madman Yi didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. Not only did Longao kill Yi Hua and Yuan in a single move, he even killed 8 people in a few short minutes. With such strength, even if it was him, he probably wouldn't be able to do it in such a short period of time. Longao, who are you? Madman Yi was not a fool. He knew very well that if Longao had not been prepared, how could he have fought with his side as soon as he entered the astral purgatory and killed 10 people in a row? If he was an ordinary person, would he dare to do so? The Divine Island was the absolute overlord of the external endless sea.